Welcome to Drinkin and Drivin. Here at Drinkin and Drivin, we'd like to remind you that drinking is fun and driving is fun. Just don't do them together. Have fun and be safe. Here's your host, Joe Yarbrough, and his co-host, David Tartaro.
All right, so we're doing a special episode this time. I can't say always, but like most times, I have David Tartaro. And this time I have Brittany Arroyo, or Brittany Arroyo.
That's the correct way. Thank you for having me. Hi.
That means of nothing. That literally means of nothing.
Thank you for clarifying.
De nada means nothing.
Yeah.
Of nothing.
No, it actually does mean something. It was quite certain.
I think it means of nothing. Look it up. So we're here. We're not actually at a brewery. We're sitting here in Dave's house. And I do have to admit, I took my flip-flops off, and you get this really nice, fluffy carpet underneath my toes. So.
I sewed this carpet together myself.
Out of your own, like, beard hairs that
Oh.
you kept for years.
You can tell how soft it was.
Yeah.
Well,
If it was out of my...
that just made it gross.
If it was out of my
Ew,
beard
David.
hair, it would be very coarse.
Ew, Dave. Yeah.
I could use my beard hair as, like, a Brillo pad. Want to get rust off a bumper?
My whole life, my brother, he's in a year and a half old, would be teasing me so my hair was a Brillo pad. I take offense to your analogy.
Oh, boy.
It's fine. That's okay.
Ew, Joe.
So what we're going to do today is we have to talk about beer since this is, a beer podcast, but we haven't properly introduced ourselves, kind of gone over what we are looking to do with this podcast. So we're kind of going to make this one up as we go. I've got a couple of rough guidelines, but we'll see where it takes us. Once again, we are going to drink beer. So the homework I had, and I'll introduce Brittany in a moment, but the homework I had for all three of us was to buy something that we've never had before, a beer, and buy it specifically because we like the way the can art looks. So that's really, even the style doesn't matter, doesn't have to be, I mean, if I looked and I said, oh, it's quintuple IPA or something beyond that, septuple, octuple.
It's not a thing.
It could be a thing. It will be a thing.
It will be a thing.
But
we
yeah.
haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try them from easiest to drink to most flavorful, which flavorful doesn't necessarily mean good. Yeah, it just means intense flavoring.
Good, because we're starting with mine. I got a little offended for a minute.
Yeah. So, and you hear Brittany online. So the thing
Let's
about...
start with the least good one.
So I'm, of course, the creator of the show. This was my... I don't want to say brainchild, but it was just something I wanted to do. I thought it would be cool to talk to breweries and talk about beer, even though I'm not a beer expert. But that's kind of why I brought Dave on, because Dave has a little bit more experience than I do. And I've got Brittany here, because sometimes you do need just one more perspective, maybe a female perspective, because, me man, me dumb ape. We need someone who's probably a little bit smarter than us.
I would like to disclaimer that I may not be smarter than either of you.
That is yet to be seen.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll definitely have to see. But either way, it's a different point of view. And, for some reason, Dave can't make it. Brittany will take the reins. Or if I have to go on my own, I will. But, I'll get a couple of guest hosts and things like that. I mean, there might be an episode where Dave is going on a cool vacation to Somewheresville, and he wants to interview somebody there, and he gets an interview set up, and I'm not going to that place with him. So this is just kind of to make it that we can bring as much content and try to keep it at I'd say a high level, but I don't think we've reached a high level yet, but we're working. We're working on
medium level.
As long as we can stay as mediocre as we are now,
Yeah.
as long as we can keep that
Brace
level.
yourself for the
Exactly.
mediocre.
So,
Variety is the spice of life. I think it's kind of that.
let's go ahead. I'm looking at the can of beer. Let's just start with a can of beer. Let's get this going. I mean, he's been whining for like 20 minutes.
Oh, it's been longer than that.
I
We've all been
refuse.
wanting to drink since we got here. That's like half the reason I came.
I didn't want to start until we're on
Well,
air.
see, I don't think my wife would allow me to just go out and drink beer at 11 o'clock, but because I'm doing a podcast, there's a reason behind it. So,
Right.
like, just drinking beer. No,
You
I'm
basically just said
I'm
the
working.
reason you're doing this podcast is to have morning drink.
I mean, I think I said that in like the first sentence. Like, the reason I started this was so that I could drink. It just so happens that every episode that we've done, for the most part, has been in the morning.
Yeah, like 9 a.m., 9:30.
Yeah, so this is a late episode.
And this is an early morning for me at 11 a.m. So.
Says the one who doesn't have children who wake her up by a knee in the groin. Yeah,
I think I'm the
purposefully child-free on purpose.
I think I'm the only one in this group that both wakes up early already and drinks early.
Well, that makes you an alcoholic.
According to society, baby.
Damn you, society. Let's forget the labels, except for this one here. Saw the transition?
Hey, good segue.
All right.
Great
So
segue.
what we've got here is Funky Buddha. So this is a real can.
Ooh, love that.
Such a good sound.
I'll let my friend David pour that one into his shaker glass.
So I've been to Funky Buddha Brewery. And I've taken a tour, and it's really cool, and the people are really great, and they have a really cool bar there. Like, it's like a really nice lower bar, and then upstairs is like a room you can rent out.
And why did you choose this one with the beautiful Farrah Fawcett-haired person here?
Well, first of all, I love Funky Buddha. Been there. It's a really great brewery, and they are making some really good beers now. I've never had this one, which is surprising because I've had a lot of their beers. And this is described as a groovable lager, which I felt like just like the description alone was very me. And the can is a woman jamming out on her headphones, sunglasses on, just living her best life. And I feel like that's what you want out of a groovable lager.
Listen to some Carrie Hart. I wear my sunglasses.
I think she's listening to like Drake or something. That's what I think, at least.
That's what I think.
I don't know any Drake. I'm so behind. I mean, you heard my reference.
You know,
Carrie Hart.
Look,
I said Carrie Hart.
I don't even know who that is.
This happened the other day at work where I didn't know anything about Drake, and I looked it up, and he's literally sold more records than any artist in history, or more MP3s or something like that. Made me feel old.
So what's really important over there with your
okay,
with your
so
phone?
I just wanted to show you guys two, even though this is a podcast and no one else can see this. Funky Buddha is, as far as Florida breweries go, they're in my top 3.
You said as fart, by the way.
Shut up.
As far.
Shut up.
As far to Florida.
They've done a couple cool series, and like one of the big things with us choosing our beers was artwork, right? We're supposed to pick based on the artwork. And I would say maybe my favorite artwork of any beer of all time was a Funky Buddha brew, and it was called, it's so awesome. It's called I'm So Excited, I'm So Scared. Do you guys get that reference?
Yes.
You do? From Saved by the Bell?
From Saved by the Bell, and
And
it's literally
got
Jesse
Jesse
riding
Spano.
on a tiger corn, a unicorn
Yes.
tiger.
Tiger.
I actually
And
don't get the unicorn
Now I'm
part.
really just
I-
jealous that I didn't pick that.
It was a great beer, too, yeah.
Because that is the best artwork I've ever seen.
It was so great. When I saw it, it's a coffee stout, too, which is great. And, you know, the
'cause you gotta be
Bayside.
energized.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Bayside Tigers, right? That's what it's
Yeah.
tiger.
Yeah.
But if anyone can figure,
Bayside.
if anyone wants to post in the comments of something, YouTube, I don't know. Why does he have a unicorn horn?
I
That's
think
the
it's
only
'cause
thing I don't get.
She's riding and there's a rainbow behind her. So instead of being on a unicorn as normal would be if you're riding over a rainbow,
they're just
you're on
replacing it with a tiger.
Yeah.
Okay, that works, I guess.
So is tiger corn what we would go with?
I
Or
Tiger
would-
corn.
Because it's not called a horse corn.
Horse corn.
I mean, like, really, like.
Yeah, but if you put it on any other animal, I feel like you say the animal name and then corn.
Yeah, if we're sticking with the number of horn thing, then it's still just a unicorn.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it difficult to distinguish between the two.
Fila, I don't know. We'll work on it. So you know what?
And then
Everyone, give me your best,
tiger unicorn.
your best tiger unicorn name. You know what? How about this? Best tiger unicorn name gets a prize. I don't know what the prize is yet, but it'll be a prize. There you go. It'll be the first thing I've ever given away for anything.
It's going to be a high five, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, if you live in like Canada and you listen to this, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to fly up there, give you a high five, get back on a plane and come back.
Terrifying prospect.
It also will not be caffeine pills from that episode of Saved by the Bell. So don't get too excited.
Don't get too excited. Hey!
Drugs are bad.
The other one, I just want to mention the other one. It's worth mentioning. Drugs bad. They also did a series, this was so clever, I thought, where they took beer ingredients, normal beer ingredients, a little bit, maybe a little bit of adjuncts, and they wanted to recreate cocktails. Did you guys ever see those ones that they did?
Oh, yeah, I did. I did,
Have
yeah.
you tried any of those?
I think you told me about one, and maybe I had
That's
one, but I
probably the
don't
one I'm
remember.
about to say. The Manhattan Double Rye.
Yes, that's the one you told me about.
Manhattan
Yes.
is my favorite cocktail.
I did have that
It's
one.
basically just bourbon with a little bit of sweet vermouth and a dash of bitters. It's so good.
Digna bought that on your.
She did.
Yeah,
That's
she bought
right.
she bought that on your.
I remember that.
I was like, why have I seen that bottle? Because it was
Yeah,
at my
yeah.
house.
It was expensive. They did a mixology series, they called it, and it was a 4-pack, and it was probably like $16 or something for the 4-pack. But
That's cool.
man,
Though.
it was
American dollars?
American dollars.
Bitcoins.
Well, what they did was
16
they,
bitcoins.
What was,
Oh my god!
$16. That's very
Really
expensive.
spending.
What is that? Like $7,000 a
They-
Bitcoin, something like that.
They accept those at Publix now, by the way.
Yeah,
so I
also,
bought it.
by the way, when you do your taxes, they ask if you've sold or obtained any Bitcoins this year. And I'm like,
They
really?
do. That's right. I
Do
saw
you
that
need
last
to
year.
know that? Like, does this mean anything?
Hmm. I don't think I've never owned Bitcoin. I've traded. I've bought and sold stocks.
It's so
I
expensive.
don't understand what it is. I think it's a joke. Like, people are just playing jokes.
I think
It's
that's
very
really
real.
what it is.
It's a big joke.
No,
It's very real, but it's. I mean, there's
Well, jokes are real.
there's a
it's
lot
an
of
expensive joke.
there's a big risk involved. It's not.
But there's always a risk.
From what I understand, no, but it's like not stable. Like it could implode.
Because
the
it's not
inside.
a real thing.
I mean, it's not a tangible thing.
Exactly.
But it kind of is, though, because the way that a Bitcoin works is it's a special encrypted file that can't be copied or edited. And that file, there's only one of it. Can't be duplicated. And you literally own the file. And, I mean, it's digital, but there's only one.
Like a
So
PDF?
No, PDF can be copied.
You know what?
It's different.
How about this? How about we don't air this part because we sound ignorant.
We are
shit. Like
talking about
What's a
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin? I know. I just did my taxes yesterday. That's why, and I thought that was so strange
I
because I,
haven't-
was like, "Why the fuck would I?"
I haven't
do
even gotten all my W-4s or.
Oh, I got mine, and I was like,
1099s or
I
I
whatever.
got my
wanted
good
my
W2
refund.
the other day.
Yeah.
I just
You
I
want
always
more of
forget
this?
which one. Yeah, let's go ahead.
It's good.
So, anyway, what I was trying to say, though, about this, that Funky Buddha beer, the Manhattan one, it was super clever, man. They used a triple as the base beer,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you've both had triples before.
Mhm.
They have like a sweeter sort of flavor to them, which when they finish the product, really makes it feel like there's vermouth in it, sweet vermouth. And I thought that was super cool because they didn't use some sort of adjunct to get that flavor, and they
Right.
really, they
They picked the
Stuck
right
to beer.
type of beer to
They
go
picked
with
the right
it.
type of
I'm,
beer.
I'm trying to think what the
I
last
thought I was
triple I've
impressed.
had.
I thought it was great.
I know I've had a triple very recently, and I can't remember which triple it was.
I just had one 2 weeks ago. That's from MIA Brewing in Miami. Surprise! And it's called Tourist Trap, and it's delicious.
Yeah,
it's
that's
got like
right.
a real
I was-
honey flavor to it.
First
Really,
one to try
really
that.
good. Yeah, I can't find it anywhere else now. And
Where did you get?
It was
that?
at Iron Oak.
So now it really
I
is.
was at Iron
Now
Oak.
it really is MIA.
Yeah,
She
it's
can't find
MIA. I wanted to bring it
So
because
funny.
it was really delicious. But
You
I've
know-
had a few of their beers, but I've never had that one.
You know, there's a kind of like this thing that I have recorded here. There's
Yeah.
one specifically for podcasts. So this one I can use for the podcast, obviously, but they have one that's made for that, and it has those buttons, like and then he said this, woo woo,
Oh, yeah,
like
that's
it had
what-
like those
yeah,
buttons.
sound
No,
effects.
Dennis
yeah.
has that.
Oh, I wonder if he
Yeah.
has that one. That one's like $700.
You know who else has
No, I
that?
don't think this was that much.
Is Bill Nye. Science
The
rules.
science guy?
Yeah, he has a great podcast.
Science
They
rules.
do
Boo,
little
boo.
sound effects all the time.
Yeah, the soundboard. Yeah, I love those. I think they're
It's great.
They're super fun.
But the one that they have, it's specifically for podcasts. So it's like this, but and it's only about yay big.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's about yay big. I don't know what's that, 15 inches maybe max.
I'll go.
I don't know.
I'll go
Does that
with
look about? I don't know.
I would say a quarter meter. I don't know.
It's all
I don't know.
relative.
Quarter meter? No, I think that'd be like close to a half meter.
A half meter? Is that better? I don't know. I just want to say.
I'm gonna
meter
get
in
you a
British accent.
soundboard that's just all the Arnold Schwarzenegger sounds,
Arnold.
like his like little quotes.
He's not a
and you can
tumor.
just play. Yeah, you can just play on it.
Get to the Did you see that thing that there's like a scene where he actually does go like
Yes.
angrily, like, and they just like play it in a loop, and it looks very weird. I think it's from like Last Action Hero.
I love that movie.
And so it's just like him going. It looks like a GIF, but they put the sound over it. It was really good.
That's funny.
All right, so this particular Funky Buddha presentation. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, because we haven't talked much about ourselves, I don't know if you guys have noticed when you've listened to this, I purposefully don't say. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10, and I just enjoy the beer, and I'll let you make your own. I'll let you know kind of what flavors I have, and you can make your own decisions based on if you want to base it on my opinion. But I think that giving a number or a thumbs up or anything like that, that starts roping me in. Because then you say, well, you gave this one a 7 out of 10. and this one's an 8 out of 10. But ratebeer.com says that this one is. So I specifically have chosen. And Dave and I have talked about this kind of in the past that we
kind of agree.
Yeah, I don't think
it's only really worth it if the person rating the beer is maybe an expert on that style or something like that.
And I'm not an expert of Jack Squatch.
Yeah, everybody has different
everyone's
tastes.
palate is different.
Totally different.
So you might love something, and I'm like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, like pickles, which are delicious.
By the way, there's a place called Slice, and I haven't had it yet. It's a pizza place on Aurora. And they have a pickle pizza on Mondays.
Oh, okay. I actually had a pickle pizza yesterday. I'm going to throw my plug in now.
Sick.
Doghouse Pizza, which used to be Roto Grill off John Rhodes. It's literally the only restaurant, I think, on John Rhodes Boulevard. They have a pizza called the Pickle Rick, and every time I've gone to this place, they're like, you got to get all of them, the staff. It's the best pizza. It's so good.
Pickle Rick!
Literally, when I ordered it yesterday, the lady lost track. She goes, oh my God, I forgot what I was doing because I got so excited that you're ordering it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was awesome. It's got like ricotta cheese, it's got pickles, and it's got bacon. I'm telling you, go to
I've
Doghouse
heard that
Pizza.
place is great.
It's really good.
I've driven by it. I know
they
exactly
make great
where
pizza.
you're talking about. But yeah, you're right. It's the only restaurant there.
It is. It's
like
the weirdest location.
It's like a bunch of like warehouse type places, and it looks almost like a storage unit, like one of the roll up doors.
Oh yeah, it's a little industrial park. Yeah,
exactly.
That's funny because that's how Funky Buddha is. It's
Oh,
literally
really?
in an industrial park, and I remember driving up
Cheap
to it, and we
real
were like,
estate, man.
"Are they gonna murder us? Like, we don't know where we're going." And
They're
then
Buddhists,
it's this
man. You don't have
beautiful
to worry about
bar.
it.
Like, it's great. No, we thought the people inviting us there maybe it was a scheme to murder us.
There's like the hand painted Funky
Yeah.
Buddha.
I mean,
sign. Funky Buddha.
it might be murder, but then they would use your organs for saving dozens of lives.
Wow.
So it's really a
Yeah, that's
noble
sweet.
death.
I mean, I guess philosophically, depending on how you want to phrase that, some people would think that's good, and some
What's that,
people would think that's bad.
Utilitarianism? Is
Yes,
that,
yes.
The good of the many
Basically,
outweighs the
Yep.
good of the few.
Mm-hmm.
I sound like Spock now.
No, that's
All the
absolutely
water.
correct.
Sorry, stop doing Star Trek. I'm doing Star Trek references.
That is not a good Leonard Nimoy at all.
Well, he was like dying at that. Or the one is actually really sounded. I didn't do a good job.
I didn't know what you were going for. I thought you were actually going to do a Sean Connery the way you're.
All the one.
That
Sean
sounded
Connery.
exactly like the other voice you did. It was all the same.
I never claimed to be an impressionist. Thank you. I'm no Bill Hader. You guys are fans. Bill Hader?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He
Who
does.
doesn't love
He
Bill
does. He does
Hader?
good. His tauntaun and things like that. Have you ever seen this?
Tauntaun, like from Star Wars?
Yeah, he does. He does a
It's
lot of Star Wars. Stuff.
Tauntaun impression.
Yeah,
that.
he does. Like the dying.
He's so
Tauntaun.
funny, man.
And
He's
of course,
great.
and he does when Jabba the Hutt gets strangled.
Oh no way, really? Okay, I gotta look
so,
that up.
So he does a lot of cool Star Wars ones like that because I like Star Wars. Okay, so
I want some pizza now. Sorry.
some,
what
some pickle.
were you gonna
pizza.
say? Some pickle Rick. I got some.
We
in the
got
fridge.
3 more beers to go through.
That's right.
I mean, there you go. So on a scale of 1 to no
Do we-
number,
Do we know?
scale of 1 to no number. Do we agree this is a no number?
Oh
Ron,
yeah, we're putting in the.
You'd
no
rate
number.
that as a no number?
So I like to describe beers based on what situation I would like to drink them in.
I like that. All right.
So this seems like a great beach beer. It's
Totally.
pretty light. It's not like super heavy. It's not super citrusy. It's something that I could drink a few of. And I also feel like it's a good beer to bring for like your one trashy friend that still drinks Bud Light.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like you're like, please just try something that's a little bit better, because it's close enough to like a nice easy drinking lager that you're not going to be like scaring them with the haps.
it's a clean version of the
Yes.
garbage they drink.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a much better version of like a light beer
Yes,
to me.
totally agree. We were talking about John Fraley earlier. He was over last
We're
night.
calling
And
people out.
he's not a craft beer guy, and he likes the garbage stuff.
You don't say.
He does.
Would have never guessed.
In fact,
This
so,
man wears Spider-Man t-shirts and hats to a professional work environment
and short
every day.
cargo shorts
And shorts, cargo shorts, yeah.
and he looks like he's from Duck Dynasty. But anyway,
I fail to see the problem here. I mean, this beard has gotten.
no,
in the
no,
past.
you don't
No,
understand.
No,
Your-
oh my god!
your beard's not a Duck Dynasty
no,
beard. You got to
not
see
anymore.
Fraley's beard.
Dude, I've got pictures.
It's insanity.
Especially when I was in Afghanistan. This guy over here.
Oh.
I was blending on it. I was
Sounds
blending
hot.
in. Except it was very hot. It was like 100 and some odd degrees under a giant beard.
Anyway, point of the story is why I would never bring up Fraley on the air. I gave him this Hellas lager, and he was like blown away by how good it was. He loved it, and it warmed my heart.
Yeah.
You know? I brought a little bit of real decent beer
Yeah,
to
I feel like there's
to
still
somebody's life.
some people that are like nope,
Are
don't
you-
drink my Budweiser until
Yeah.
the day I die, especially in Florida. But it's just because
Florida
they
man.
haven't had the right.
That's
craft
all it
beer.
is. I always use the analogy. People, it would be like if you're like, I don't like beer. It's like having a strawberry and saying, and that's the only fruit you've ever had. And being like, nope, don't like fruit.
Exactly.
I had a strawberry. It's terrible.
See, I liked your. I think you need to go back to when we did Helen Blazes. You said a lime, and I think lime's
That works better than a strawberry.
Yeah, because
I guess,
strawberry,
huh?
because like
Yeah.
most people are like, hey, I actually like strawberries.
My son hates strawberries. He
Some
absolutely
people
hates
don't.
them.
It doesn't.
But I feel like
react
So
well in
freaking
their
good. I
mouth.
love strawberries.
But I feel like a lime is going to be more of a punch in the face, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
less likely
yeah.
to like. I mean, you can literally go on YouTube and look up videos of babies eating limes or lemons for the first time.
Why do
I
people
have
do
those
this?
videos 'cause
Can you
it's
guys tell
hilarious.
me? Have you guys done this with your
Oh
children?
yeah,
No, I
Absolutely.
didn't do a video, but
it's
I
hilarious.
Gave
Making your kid squeal,
Squeam.
squirm.
Squeam.
That's the word.
Squeam.
Look,
I'm
that-
about to call
here's the-
CPS, guys.
Here's the thing.
Don't worry.
The real reason that people have kids, I don't know if this is supposed to be a secret that only parents know. Or
No, I
something.
don't know. Please tell me.
It's because they're for entertainment purposes. That's why you have them.
Mm.
They're really funny.
I would
and,
agree with
and
that.
you
one.
can you can make them do virtually anything you
They're-
I
want
have
up to a
so
certain
many
age.
other forms of entertainment
They're
in my
like-
life. I'm fine.
they're
I
like-
don't know, man. It's a unique form of
They're
entertainment.
like little.
It's not for everyone, I guess.
To be honest, though, I do
Little-
enjoy Dignan Joe's child and watching his videos.
Dude, Des is
not in a
hilarious.
weird way, but like he's funny.
Not
Like
in a
you know.
weird way.
I don't know how you would watch him.
I don't think anyone would have assumed.
I know. I just felt like I had to say that.
I mean, we do have videos of him with an umbrella, naked, in the rain in our porch, with singing in the rain.
these
playing.
aren't the videos. I'm
Those
watching,
aren't
guys.
the videos.
Don't worry.
It's the cutest freaking thing you've ever seen. But he's like got an umbrella and he's like singing in the rain. Like we've got the song playing and he's dancing. And yes, it was during a hurricane. So.
Wait, what?
That's the most Florida thing ever.
It just sounds dangerous.
Florida man, let's
Do
naked
you actually
son
have that
outside on his
DCS
porch.
number?
I don't think he might not have been naked in that one.
Wow, you should not just randomly add that.
I said he might not have been. but I didn't-
All right, I'm gonna go get beer number 2. How's that?
All
Sound?
right, we're gonna go with beer number 2.
We'll stop talking about naked children for a little bit.
This really is
I know that's what you came here for.
NC 99. Like no people under the age of 99 should be listening to this.
I don't even think centenarians would want to listen to this.
I mean, if they can hear it.
They're mostly senile, so that's
Oh.
how it works. Alrighty, so what we have here is Wicked Weed,
Wicked Weed.
which we just recently started getting. I noticed in our area,
Yeah.
which is awesome
But
because
it's kind of widely available. I've found.
yeah, they came out of the box like swinging. I guess I don't know, but they're big in Asheville. They have multiple locations just in Asheville alone.
He's saying Asheville, not Nashville. By the way.
Asheville, which at least at one point in time was the brewery capital of the East Coast. I know, but I don't
You
know
said
if that's still the case.
in Asheville sounds like in Nashville.
In Nashville, yeah.
But
I
I'm
mean-
sure there's a lot of great breweries in Nashville too. We're not
You
trying
know,
to bash Nashville.
I don't know. I went to Nashville once and I wasn't impressed.
I've-
How long ago
you know,
was it?
It was 5-ish
Yeah, I
years.
feel like by
and
now they
I didn't
would've
spend a
done-
lot of time there
I-
either,
I
so
will
I
say-
should give them a chance.
I will say Nashville. I did not drink any real craft beer while I was there, but I did do the distillery thing.
Yeah.
Which I think this show can still support.
I
that.
did a Tennessee distillery, and that was awesome. We did George Dickel, which I have a couple bottles of right behind you.
Yeah.
Girl.
I feel like it's hard to be in that area and not want to drink bourbon.
Yeah, that's
You know.
really when I was
Why
going
else would
through
you do that?
Tennessee.
I mean,
all I was
Tennessee
thinking about
whiskey,
was
but
whiskey. Yeah.
whatever.
Yes, Tennessee whiskey. It's
I
different.
mean, bourbon's better, but go ahead.
they're
They're not the
very,
same.
very,
They're not the same.
very similar.
I don't know. I kind of like the charcoal filtering that they do.
That's pretty much the
with the
difference,
Tennessee.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same stuff until
They're both
you get-
amazing. I mean, I love bourbon and Tennessee. Okay, so anyway, yes.
David.
This is Wicked Weed. The beer that we're drinking is called Pernicious India Pale Ale. This is an IPA, obviously. And I don't know why I had to clarify that.
Obvious.
Oh, and actually, if you notice, Brittany, if you notice, the logo on the glass that I gave you it matches the
Yeah, I know.
can.
I recognized it because that's how much I like beer. I knew where the gas came from.
I just posed for a picture. That's why I got
I've
quiet.
never fully looked at this whole can though.
I
and
love
I
this.
realized
really
I
a
love the
cool
creepy
can.
spider.
There's
Yeah.
a huge
And
spider on it that's
There
just
is.
like eating
Is
something.
his butt a hop?
Yes, it is. Yep.
It is. It is.
It's super cool. He's almost like a cross between a spider and like a xenomorph.
Yeah, he's cool.
From Aliens.
Cool.
He's really cool. Yeah, and the hops look like little eggs that are glowing.
Mhm.
You're right.
Really cool can.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is the stuff of nightmares.
The stuff of
But I
nightmares.
think the font kind of reminds me of something Tim Burton-ish.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Actually,
like-
the whole
A little
can,
bit,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of Tim
There's
Burton-ish.
kind of a cool.
I love Tim Burton.
Like it's the xenomorph. It's not quite as bad as like the what's his name, Geiger, the guy who does like the aliens and species and stuff like that. It's not as like freaky as that guy.
Yeah, it's not like gross. Like I'm kind of like he's cute. Like it's a cute little guy.
I'd be his friend.
Yeah, it's a large spider.
I mean,
guys.
if he bites you though, I mean,
He
Yeah, but
doesn't
he's a
look like
hop
he's
spider.
interested.
Maybe if he bites you, you'll taste the flavor
Wait,
of hops
I was
for the
gonna
rest of your
say,
life or
would you
something.
get that? That was actually gonna be what I was going for. Is like
Is
You
that his
suck out the
venom?
venom.
So,
Yeah.
and is there like a West Coast hop spider?
An East Coast hops?
So it's like, well, this one's more piney. This one's a little more citrusy.
It's a mosaic spider.
And on the next podcast, we'll be talking about beer spiders.
Beer spiders.
God,
This is good, man. It's
This
like
is
a very dry.
And where did you get this one?
I actually got it Publix.
You got a Publix.
Yeah, like I said, this is we could read it. I have not noticed them before a month or two ago.
I mean that shows
In our area.
how widely available they are. Like all of a sudden, I actually found this exact one, and I bought it not too long ago because of the case, and I was like, hey, let me get this, and it's I found it at Winn-Dixie. So Publix.
Really?
Is,
Oh, cool.
Like at Publix.
Wait, how long ago did you say that was?
Within the last month.
Oh, okay. It was recent. I was
Yeah,
just wondering. I'm wondering how long they've been available.
Yeah, I mean, I would say within.
it was pretty recent.
It was
Yeah.
definitely late last year, like maybe sometime in December.
Yeah.
I was like, Winn-Dixie has this? Like,
That's cool.
it almost made me not want to get it because Winn-Dixie doesn't always have the best beer selection. So when I saw it at Winn-Dixie, I was like, do I get this?
That's a serious distribution spike.
It
I
really
mean,
hasn't been here that long because I really remember one of our friends, Eric, is so into this brewery that anytime someone will go to Asheville, they bring him back cans. So it hasn't been sold here for a while because I feel like he couldn't get it here.
Do you mean Eric McKinley?
Eric McKinley.
We just talked about Eric McKinley in the Beachfly episode. I believe I brought him up.
The official ambassador of
Beach
Beachfly
Fly.
Brewery.
He is Mr. Beachfly. Actually, they did their luau, the anniversary celebration.
Oh yeah.
And we missed him by a couple hours.
Oh, you went to it?
Yeah,
Was it cool?
Yeah, we went, and we also missed Andrea.
Oh, that's right. You
playing.
texted me. Oh yeah,
we
she played
missed
the
that.
ukulele. I
There
wanted
was
to go. I
There's
really
a whole
did.
ukulele.
I had so much
group,
going on that
and
day.
They all played ukulele and did some music. I missed that by a few hours, but
It'd be Andrea Newburn, the ukulele. What's the word when you're really good at something?
Band?
No,
I don't know.
I totally blew it.
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
There was another.
Prodigy.
I was going with another word. I'm
There's lots. I mean, like, get a thesaurus.
Get a thesaurus. Oh, can I tell an Eric McKinley story that's beer related?
Yeah.
Father McKinley.
I got to tell you, one of the nicest beer good deeds that has ever happened to me in my life was from Eric, and I'm not even kidding. It really was just like a great thing.
He also
it
is
made
like
me very happy.
the nicest person
He's
in
awesome.
the world.
So he knows how big into beer I was, and years back, do you guys know what West Veteran 12 is? Have you ever heard of that beer?
Mm-hmm.
They call it like the world's most sought after beer or something like that. The only way you can get it, it's a Trappist beer, and there's only an Abbey Ale. There's only 7 in the world, 7 places that make them officially, and that's one of them. And this one does not distribute, so literally the only way you can get it is by going to Belgium. You have to go to the monastery.
Wow.
You have to fill out a form and sign it saying that you're not going to resell it. They'll only let you buy 2 packs of it or something like that, and then that's how you can get the beer. Well, anyway, one time, and they said this is the only time they're ever going to do it. They needed to raise funds for to do some renovations or something. So they distributed their
Church
beer.
always needs money for the building fund.
That's right. It was for the roof was like falling apart or something.
It's always for the building
At least
fund.
they're making an actual product.
They are. That's true. So a really good one too. So anyway, they bottled it.
They call that the Holy Spirits.
They bought the Holy Spirit. So stupid. So anyway, the Holy Spirits. So they bottled this stuff. They distributed, I think, like to the UK and the US or something like that. Very limited distribution, and it was like a 6-pack, and it came with a glass, and it was like $50 or $60 for the 6-pack. And at the time, you couldn't even get it in Melbourne. The only place that had it within driving distance there was a Total Wine in Orlando. And I wanted to get it so bad. And I knew you had to get there early. You had to wait in line. You might not even get it. And I had something going on at work and I couldn't go. And I was so bummed. It sucked.
Sounds like you didn't want it enough.
So I guess not. So I remember I met Eric. I was in CrossFit at the time, Rise Above, and they were having a thing at Coasters, which they were having them regularly back then. And I was like, yeah, I'll go, So I went, and I remember Eric walks up to me. He takes out a bottle of it, chilled, and the glass, and he hands it to me, and it was right after my birthday. And he goes, "Happy birthday!" And I was like, "What, dude?" It was like the greatest birthday present I ever received.
That's awesome.
It's bringing tears to my eyes. I still have the glass and the bottle, actually, to this day. He let me keep the glass.
I mean,
how freaking cool
the
is that?
bottle's full, and that's the next beer we're bringing out?
The bottle is not
awesome.
full. The bottle, I actually drank it there. Actually, Joe, one of the owners of Coasters, he was there too, and he works at Harris, or did at the time. I don't know if he still does. And shared it with him, but it was fun.
That's interesting because I am so interested by Trappist beers just because of the whole history and how they're made and everything. And I'm just wondering, this might sound really ignorant, so I'm sorry if it does. But do all monks take a vow of silence? Or
No. I think that it's dependent on situation.
Okay.
Like actually, I read about there's a monastery you can stay at in. You know what? Actually, I think it was the West Vleteren one I looked into. And they have all these weird rules.
Before the roof was repaired?
I don't know. You can stay there for $30 a night. It's really cheap. But you've got to follow their rules. And one of the rules is between this hour and this hour, you're not allowed to talk. So it's
I was just thinking, how difficult would it be to brew beer and
not be able to verbally communicate
with other people? Unless, are they allowed to use sign language? Is that their get around?
Maybe. I don't know. No, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I know at least part of the day, everyone has to be quiet. Right. At least at that monastery.
I think we should instill that in
Sounds
America.
cool though, man.
Everyone should be quiet for part of it.
You know what it reminded me of?
If it was a nighttime thing, what if you talk in your sleep? Do they kick you out?
Oh, yeah.
You get
in
murdered.
an instant.
Here you go.
No, they do the whip in the back thing, It's very painful.
And what's that called?
Oh my goodness.
It's called flagellation.
That's what I said, dude. Jeez.
I
didn't
hate
hear
that
me.
word.
I know, I do too.
It sounds like flatulence.
It's the worst word.
It sounds like flatulence. So, thought.
I think our podcast is about to take a dip to a new low.
I talked about farting.
This beer is
okay.
a higher
Deal with it.
alcohol content. Remember, we're getting drunker.
Yeah,
so go
Oh yeah, we
on.
should look. Let's see what the difference was.
This one was 5.
That was
The first
5?
one.
Okay,
This
so,
one-
I got 5 on it.
Okay. Alexa says that, and I don't know what it's from. Some song.
Oh wow,
You
your
said-
white's coming
Every
out.
time,
My white's
every time you
coming
say
out.
Alexis, I think you say Alexa. And
This
I'm
is
like,
7.3.
I thought you were asking Alexa to play that song for a second.
We actually 7.3 by the way. If you didn't hear me, was the alcohol content. We have Alexa at this house, and we had to change it. You can change the word, the wake word. We had to change it to echo because
That's my change word.
constantly I would talk to Alexis, and it would think that I'm talking to it.
Yeah.
It was very annoying. And I have an Alex too. My son is Alex, so it's like
I mean, I kind of feel like that's your guys' fault for having those names.
that's true. I should have thought about that, huh?
So really, it's your parents' fault. Whoever the parents are.
Well,
at
he's
fault,
the
so-
parent.
I mean, I named
kid.
my kid, so
but you didn't name your wife.
I did not name
He
my
did
wife.
actually.
You bring up a good point. I did not name my wife.
That is true.
Not this one, at least.
This is
I'm not
the Amish.
I'm not sure.
I don't know exactly what that
means.
means.
30 seconds.
I do remember in a podcast that we recorded that has not aired yet, we did talk to some detail about Alexis. I don't really remember what it was or what the context was.
Oh.
I guess that was it.
Oh, it answered you.
Are you talking about me? Hello, Dave.
I can't do that, Dave.
All right, this is getting really creepy. Let's move on.
You don't get that reference, do you?
No, I'm sorry.
2001
That's
Space Odyssey.
yeah.
Jangs.
I
You
don't
owe me a beer,
know
I guess?
what
I don't
any of that is.
2001 Space Odyssey? You don't know
I don't know what that
You
is.
never ever heard of it?
No.
Stanley Kubrick is like a major famous movie.
The only Stanley Kubrick movie that I care about is The Shining.
That's not Stanley Kubrick.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
And also,
The Shining.
oh, it's Stephen King.
But it's a Stanley Kubrick.
You're right. It is Steve. I'm sorry. You're right. I thought you were going to say Clockwork
False.
Orange. I got thrown off.
Wow.
Full Metal Jacket is the one you should care about.
That's Stanley Kubrick?
I'm
Yeah.
still gonna stand by The Shining.
Yeah, but and of course the reason I like that is because I went to basic training, and this is what all of the drill sergeants wanted to be. They wanted to be Arlie Ermey's character.
Yeah.
Like that's who they wanted to be. Like they're like, hey, I'm gonna be this guy. When they decided they wanted to go and become a drill sergeant, they thought
Every day of their life, they prayed that somebody would have a donut hidden somewhere. One day it's going to happen.
Drill sergeant, you planted that donut on me.
I did not,
A jelly stinking donut.
You guys, anyone 30 and under, like me, I don't understand any
Full
of this,
Metal
so don't
Jacket?
worry.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Oh my gosh. Wait, 30 and under? How old are you?
30.
Oh.
That's why I said
That-
30
that-
and under.
Oh, God. Well, these two guys here. Oh, that's maybe something I actually did want to mention it. So she is 30, and I am 38, and Dave.
I think I am too.
Dave is 38, but 6 months behind me. 5
What
months
year were
behind
you
me.
born?
81.
Yeah.
I'm June, and you're December. So,
I am.
but
right.
I'm 5 months, 5 months and a day older than you.
5 months in a day.
Because you're the 27th, I'm the 26th.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
the 27th. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's weird. Kind of. Almost weird.
So, however
One
however
number
many years,
away from being weird.
is it?
Which I guess makes it not weird.
But I was born 4 days late, so it's not that weird.
What? Does that really play into it?
I don't know.
Is there a story behind that?
I just remember, like, my mom said that.
My mom was like, not yet.
or was I like, not yet?
Just get out of it.
I mean, to be honest, that's probably the best time you'll ever have in your life is being in your mom's womb. So, not you specifically,
Kind
but
of
just
messed
like
up
people in
that
general.
it's the one time you don't remember.
Yeah, I know. But like the rest of
Pea
life,
brains.
it's all like downhill from
Well,
there.
I think, I mean,
It's all downhill from there.
I think of like some of the funny things my son has said and all this stuff, and he's not going to have any memory of it because I remember
These kids
it.
are dumb. It's not their fault. They just are.
I didn't.
But they're
say
like
it.
super funny things, super cute things, whatever the case is. But he's gonna forget these things because if you think about like one of your first memories, you were like 3, 4, somewhere in that area. You might have this like little flash of a memory kind of thing. But on that same note, a lot of his old memories, I can be like, look, here's the video.
Yeah.
Here, so he could actually like falsely remember it.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
like,
totally.
So he doesn't actually remember it. He
I
just remembers
remember
watching it.
things from my early childhood because they're on home video and it's become a memory in my brain now. You know what I mean?
That's such a weird sensation because, quick anecdote, there may have been a time in my late teens where I was legitimately convinced that someone had messed up my memory. Like, you know, the little Men in Black, like, light thing. Like, just took away my memory. Because I was like, I don't remember being a child. I don't remember any of that.
What?
And all I can remember is things that I've seen in videos.
home videos.
Yeah, I have no other, like
a
genuine
Cylon or
movies.
something.
Yeah.
And she had weird memories of Tommy Lee Jones and Will
Yes.
Smith as well. So
Well, I've had a lot of weird dreams about Will Smith, but that's
Wow.
for another
Were you guys getting
podcast.
jiggy with it?
Most of the time.
I don't know. I kind of like Tommy Lee Jones. Wink. He's a handsome man.
Is he though?
Yeah,
I don't
is
know.
he?
I just felt like saying that. I don't even know why. I don't even know why.
I mean, I don't know, handsome, but memorable.
I mean, I like him.
Yeah, I
I'd
like
say
him.
he's
He's
memorable.
great.
He's not Will Smith. He's not like the point of my dream fantasies. Though. No offense, Tommy Lee Jones. I know you're listening to this. We love you.
TLJ.
Well, you know what? I'm hoping. So we did another celebrity shout out in an earlier episode, which that one will be airing. It will have aired by the time everyone hears
Is
it.
that Penn Jillette that you're
Yes,
referring to?
exactly.
I love
Penn
me
and
some.
Teller.
I love me some Penn Jillette.
He's
yeah.
definitely listening.
So well, I feel like that might be a thing. I think maybe they'll listen. But so that was kind of one of my favorite interviews that we've done thus far for me.
Bug Nutty.
Is Bug?
Yeah,
is
that
Bug Nutty.
was a really good one.
Nothing.
That's
Against,
the next one that's gonna air, right?
yeah. That's gonna
Mhm.
that will
After
will have,
this.
That will no. It will have aired
Oh.
by the time this.
That
one
was
is
the
released.
last one that aired.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
future.
It was just released a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, this is freaking me out, man. It's freaking me out, man.
I'm messing with his time.
We'll just
Future
get
David.
the, we'll just get the memory
and-
eraser, guys.
Yeah,
I wish
Tommy
I could-
Lee Jones.
I wish future Joe could come back to now Joe and tell now Joe some winning lotto numbers. But the best I can do is now Joe can talk about future Joe.
I think
Okay,
usually
so I get that
sports betting
reference.
history magazines. Are
I get
usually-
that reference of Back to the Future too. So just letting everyone know.
I would literally. That's exactly. Hey, time machine. So, do they still have sports almanacs, or do I just have to go to the internet and print it out? I'm not sure how to.
I think you said, "Hey, time machine," like it's Alexa.
Yeah.
Hey, time machine, take me to the future.
My wife's name is Tim Machine, so we had to change the name.
Tim Machine.
We had to change the name of the Alexa.
Tim Machine. Is she Irish?
Tim Machine. Tim Machine.
Oh, it's me, Tim Machine.
That's the
I
name
should
you
have had
gave
the
her,
Schlager.
and it's what she will answer to.
It's an interesting podcast.
I don't know how I'm gonna edit this podcast.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
I
I'm ready
was
for
ac-
beer number 3.
I was actually going somewhere. Oh yeah, we're gonna.
You're gonna leave?
No, yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna take a leak eventually, but
Not on air.
on the. I was thinking about that. Will this? You know what? These are long cables, and the bathroom's just down there.
I will leave.
I mean, you don't have to. You won't hear me going.
You're gonna hear it on the microphone.
Are the cans different each one?
Yeah. There are repeats, but yes, they are. They are
Oh,
unique
man,
cans.
look at that.
So I will
Okay.
say, I did not pick out my beer.
How
So,
dare you?
I was at home, and Digna went to Total Wine. She was like, "Oh, I didn't bring any lunch." Or not Total Wine. She doesn't go to Total Wine for lunch.
We're getting lunch today, so gonna stop by Total
Sorry,
Wine.
no. What's the place around the corner from work?
The place around the
Downtown Produce.
Downtown. Thank you, Downtown Produce. But they have a lot of cool beers.
They also
there.
have food there.
Yeah. Well, so she was. When I was like, "Oh, you're going to Downtown Produce," I was like, "I know they got cool beer there." I was like, "Pick up something solely on the label."
Dude, this one wins for sure.
This one's cool.
For
This is
label only.
really cool, man.
It honestly,
Collective Arts Art Brewing. I've never
like
heard
this.
of these guys.
This one reminds me. It's kind of David Bowie-ish.
It's very trippy.
Kind of.
Yeah. So
But
that
like
one's.
it,
Hold on.
it could be like in a museum, like on purpose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
Collective
Not
Arts
like-
Art Brewing is the
Yeah.
name. So
Not,
obviously,
not like the banana
This
that
is a
was
big
duct
thing for
taped to
them.
the wall.
That the guy ate. Yeah.
I would have eaten it too.
wait, what?
There was
You
an
didn't say-
installation in Miami, and it was like this really famous artist, and it was literally like it was other things, but like the big thing was they would replace the banana like every day, I guess.
So it would be fresh and yellow.
Yes, and then
Black
one
and yellow, black and
patron
yellow, black and yellow.
picked it up and just started eating it, and like the curator of the museum was about to get on a plane, and they called her, and they're like frantic, and they're like, "Someone's eating the banana. What do we do?" And she had to come back, and like they just replaced the banana. It really what there's
Go to
no
the
more to
grocery
the
store,
story.
Jimmy.
Yeah, like,
But-
but like he just, I love that because I love like social experiments, and I feel
Yeah,
like he
me
just wanted to
too.
see like
But
what are you gonna do?
that is
It's a
awesome.
banana.
But they put a price tag. They said man eats banana from $150,000.
Artwork or
Artwork.
something.
yeah, it
I'm
wasn't
like-
just the banana though. But
That's pretty awesome.
It was literally duct tape, a banana.
yeah,
I promise you.
Modern art, baby.
yeah.
You ever go to the Guggenheim? Have been to New York before? The
Hell
Guggenheim?
yeah.
There is some wacky
God bless
artwork
you.
at that place, man.
Even better is the MoMA,
I didn't
the
like.
Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah.
The third and fourth floor are like
MoMA.
legitimate Van Gogh, like
Yeah.
great
Yes.
paintings.
Yep. There's cool stuff.
And then the first and second floor are just like anything goes.
Dude, seriously, I saw an exhibit where it was like metal cubes on sticks. They were just cubes. There was
We
nothing
went
else to
there
them.
No, you know what that
once.
was? That was one of those things when you move to the right direction, it looks like a picture.
If that was the case,
And
that would have been
you were,
awesome.
You were standing in the wrong
You were in
direction.
the wrong
Like,
spot,
you're
man.
like, what are all these stupid metal cubes? But if you would have moved like 20 feet to the left, you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's Albert Einstein sticking out his tongue. Like, you know that famous
Yeah.
picture?
Yes,
So
I know.
one time I went there and there was, I'm not joking, a blank canvas on the wall. Blank.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people were staring
Oh,
at
you're
it.
done.
So
That was
I
it.
assumed that it was one of those kinds of like visual tricks. Like
Yeah.
stare at it long enough and something will pop out at you.
So did you just stand there and stare at it?
Yeah, it was a fucking blank canvas. I'm not, like, nothing happened.
And that is why I don't go to
Oh man.
art museums.
No, art museums are great.
No, but also
They're
genius.
not all like that.
Like-
I wish I would have thought of
yeah,
that.
but that's not art. It's
an
I guess
easy way to make money.
It's performance.
Exactly.
It's like performance.
yeah, it's
art.
like see how people react.
Trick
to
people.
it,
Yeah,
which I like better.
It's punk.
There was a camera, and you're recorded somewhere, and it made
that.
you
Yeah. And do you guys know what's that guy's name? He does like
Matt
street
Damon.
art. He's like famous for street art in.
Banksy.
That's the one, Banksy.
I am more smart than them.
Do you know? Hey, well, I knew of it. I just couldn't remember.
You should have said more smarter.
More-
I am more smarter than they be.
I fail English. That's impossible. Sorry. Anyway, did you ever see that story where he like somebody, he doesn't sell his art,
Right.
his street art, but people have managed to get his artwork and sell it, and it sells for ridiculous amounts of money. He pre-planned somehow this like artwork that he knew somebody was going to acquire it, I guess, and they sold it on auction, and he was, I guess, watching the auction remotely somehow. And he had it set up where the second the person won the auction, he hit some sort of button or a trigger, and there was a shredder built into the artwork,
yeah.
and it
just
shredded the painting
it.
right after they won it.
And he was like,
Just
"Thanks for
destroyed it.
your money."
I was like,
yeah,
that's pretty messed
like
up.
the best troll ever.
Best troll ever.
But then do you get the money because it
No.
wasn't as
You pay-
advertised?
Well, no, it was his It happened after you bought it, technically. But the thing is,
But you didn't sign any paperwork.
I think
yet.
it's kind of a two-edged sword, because the person that bought that artwork's more famous than his other work now because of the.
Also,
It's-
if you're rich enough
And then
to
he
be
can
buying a bank,
hang it up shredded now and be like,
Yeah,
look
you're
what
fine.
Banksy.
Plus, he's got
artwork
a
did.
functioning shredder, so
Plus, you get a free shredder
so
out of it.
so like I
That's a
spent
big plus.
$100,000+ for a shredder that I could get for $30 at Office Depot.
Oh wait, random segue here. You just said shredder. I just found out this week, and it blew my mind.
Shredder from Ninja
Ninja
Turtles.
Shredder from Ninja Turtles
Oh yes.
is Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
way.
I knew that.
That is the same person. What the hell?
That's
I did not know
crazy.
that.
I did
man.
not know.
I didn't
that.
know he was Asian. Weird.
And I was almost as surprised, not quite, by the amount of people that already knew that. I was like,
didn't know
really?
that.
You knew that? Uncle Phil? Super weird, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Internet.
Thanks a lot, Internet.
R.I.P. Uncle Phil.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and
Uncle Phil.
he
a
actually
good
I
man.
used to go to University of Kaplan. I took a couple of classes,
With Uncle Phil?
and he was the spokesperson for Kaplan at the time.
Oh.
Uncle Phil was.
Go
but
to Kaplan.
It was like maybe a year or two before he passed away.
You'll dine on turtle soup. No, he didn't say
No,
that.
he never said that.
So anyway, back to the beer. So this is Radio the Mothership Double Dry Hop Double IPA.
I mean,
The
honestly,
Collective Arts.
it really is art. This
Super
is art.
cool, man.
Yeah,
We've got a cool.
So it's a 4-pack, but there's one double. So we got 3 different works of art. I guess.
Remember
you could say.
that Joe did not pick this. His wife
Digna
Digna
picked
picked this.
Digna gets the credit.
She's the one that picked the best.
And
She
by
has
and by the way,
impeccable
the
taste.
art is by Mike Rose from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Shout out.
No,
Mike
it's
Rose.
not.
This
That
one
one
is.
might be.
Oh,
This one
different.
is Jonathan Kang, which features a little space dog in a
I like that one.
astronaut outfit and some little space dude. And then this one is Lior Shkedi from Israel. Oh, they didn't say where they're from.
Everyone for that pronunciation.
The other guy was from Canada. Okay, that was easier. And this one is like these aliens pointing up at like this moon that's super close.
Probably pointing at Earth
Really
and
cool.
laughing.
Wow, wow,
Those
wow, wow, wow.
idiots.
Yeah, yours was a red robot.
I love the giant,
Really cool, man.
The
I
giant
like all
red
of them.
robot.
The
They're
robot's
all
awesome.
space
That's actually
themed.
my
It's a
favorite one.
very
I think.
space
Yeah.
themed thing.
Fun dog space fact. What was the name of the first dog in space that Russia launched into space? Anyone know? Anyone know?
I was only thinking of the one from Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmo. But
Buzz Lightyear.
It was not
Final
Buzz Lightyear. That's
answer?
a great guess.
I feel like it was maybe like a girl named like
Nope.
Sasha.
No, I mean
I'm
it's
gonna go with
a
that.
Russian name.
Well,
Laika. Laika.
Well, actually,
the dog,
Sasha, I
Laika.
think, is my wife will fix me on that one, but I think Sasha is a nickname for Alexander.
Wow.
Oh.
I have an
No.
Alexander that I had.
Hey, Sasha. No.
I was going to say gave birth to, but that wouldn't have been quite accurate, would it?
Nope. I
All
mean,
right.
I don't know much
For God's
about your
sakes,
life,
will we
but...
All right.
pour the beer?
I mean, honestly, all I can think of is Space Oddity when I see this can, though. A little David Bowie.
Me too.
Little David Bowie.
Yeah, that's an awesome song.
Oh.
We also live on
Major
the
Tom.
Space Coast,
We
so I
do.
feel like this one probably
why I
sells
was
really
al-
good
I
in
was-
Brevard.
That's why I was a little disappointed that
In space.
Pigs in space.
I gave myself a full pour. Sorry about that.
I was a little disappointed. Well,
Hashtag not sorry.
sorry, not sorry.
What's the ABV
We got
on
more.
this one?
Hold on, I'm pouring beer. I'll let you know. Brittany will let you
Check.
know.
If I can find it.
Oh, I just spilled it. It's on my leg.
8.5. So we
Oh.
did good. We have raised up.
We've
Each
raised up an increase. I don't mind when I spill beer on myself because then I smell really good.
I don't mind when I spill beer on you either, so kind of works.
This happens all the time.
They've got an interesting relationship.
Mm.
Oh, it smells. Well, you know what's
Ooh,
funny?
wow, this is very not bitter.
That one smells a lot. The spider one smells a lot hoppier.
Yeah, I actually think this would have done better first, honestly. As far as
I love it. I
flavor
actually
profile
love
goes.
this.
What kind
The
of
last one
beer
was
is
it had
this?
a big
This
bite
is
to
a
it. This has no
Double
bite at
dry
all.
hopped D IPA.
Yeah, so that means they put all the hops in during the fermentation. Well, not all of it, but most of it maybe. I
So
guess.
it's not
double
as like
dry
bitey
hop.
Oh, man.
as a normal
Yeah,
IPA.
yeah.
That's smooth.
My friend Matt McKee gave us a really good educational lecture on dry hopping versus regular hopping and how it affects the flavor and the smell and stuff like that the other day. It's actually really interesting. Shout out to Matt McKee.
Shout out Matt McKean.
Shout out.
Don't know who you are.
We have given all sorts of shout outs and name drops and
That will probably
Yeah.
never be
We
heard.
know you're all listening.
all of my fan will enjoy all these names.
All of my
This is actually legit a very good beer, and I also feel like this is a beer I could easily get very drunk off of because
Yeah.
it's super easy to drink.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
1.5.
Oh my gosh.
You know that one of the signs of a quality beer when it's high alcohol and you can't tell.
That's nice.
They did a good job. I like to say it's like a Long Island iced tea.
Ugh, gross.
What? You don't like them?
It'll make you
No.
get naked.
Wow. You
Yeah.
said it like, why would you even think I would like
Because
it?
I feel like that's like an 18-year-old girl orders a Long Island
Wow,
iced tea.
jeez.
I mean,
Guess
I
I
used
won't
to be
be
an
ordering those
18-year-old girl.
anymore.
Get off my back.
Actually, I don't know if I've ever ordered a Long Island iced tea before.
No, honestly,
I pretty much just
I
get
mean,
Manhattans,
she's
that's it.
she's kind of right about that. So when I was
An 18-year-old girl.
not much more.
Nothing against 18-year-old girls. You guys are great. You're in your prime. Enjoy it.
What the heck?
But go on.
You are in your prime.
Like all
It's-
the 18-year-old girls were going to feel bad about themselves.
What the hell?
So
it's a
when,
major part of
so
the
when I was-
listening base.
when I was in the army, my first
18-year-old
duty station was
girls.
Korea. So I joined the army when I was 19 years old, and I turned 20 shortly before I went to Korea.
Yeah.
So of course 20, no drinky, but in Korea, yes drinky.
Yeah.
So 20 is actually the drinking age when you're. I don't know about Korea's like laws, but that was the U.S. The military said, hey, when you're 20, you can go downtown and drink. And all that
Oh,
stuff.
so you actually were allowed, as far as the military was concerned, to go drink.
So I could go on the base. They had the little liquor store, the Class 6, and I could go to the liquor store and I'd show my ID, give them my money, and all that stuff, and I could buy a bottle of distilled spirits.
Yeah.
So I bought multiple bottles of distilled spirits and made Long Island iced teas because someone gave me. Oh no, I went to they had like an on-post club, if you want to call it a club. It was
an
actually
NCO club?
It was actually no, because I was not an NCO, but they called it the 9 to 1. I think those were the initial hours.
It was
Like-
only open from
It's like a bizarre
9
version of
p.m. to
7-Eleven.
1 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
So yeah. So but I think that was when
Very
it was.
odd business
Very,
hours.
very
Well, but
odd.
that's when it was club like because people aren't partying at 7:15.
Okay, so you meant club like we going out to the club,
I was
not
thinking
like
like Sam's
this
Club.
is the book club.
No, but our
The book club that
the
sells
joke
liquor.
was because one of the largest units
That's
there,
my book
Fun
club.
book club, yeah.
one of the largest groups that were there.
People you ever met.
Well, I wasn't going to say units because unit, but no, the largest unit.
Well,
was,
you did now.
Right. Well, I figured I would do it.
I wouldn't have
first.
even giggled at that.
So
I would have.
So one of the largest units you've ever seen. No, the largest units on that little base that I was on was field artillery, which at the time, I don't know about the Army today, but at the time was an only male unit. So my entire battalion of hundreds of people were all dudes. So like
so sexist.
like yeah, I mean it really is. I don't know why artillery I don't know. But anyway, so because all it was artillery, and this wasn't
I
even
know
like.
some chicks that dig things that blow up.
But the thing about artillery, this particular piece of artillery,
Brittany's like nodding.
The
I like
ML
things that blow up.
No comment.
the MLRS could launch a rocket like 25 miles, and
Yeah.
multi-launch rocket system, something like that.
Yeah.
And it would like, it could shoot like each one could shoot 24, and then they'd pull the empty pod off and reload it. So you think about 24 rockets, or it could launch one giant rocket or something like that.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, it's really cool to watch. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
neat. And
But you can only watch it if you're a man.
actually, you can. The only way you can really see it is when you're on the receiving end of it, and you don't
want to be.
you
on the
don't want to
receiving
watch it,
end,
really.
yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it's really.
And only females are allowed to watch.
Only females are on the receiving.
That's
end.
pretty much as sexist as it gets.
I mean, we do receive a lot, unfortunately. Unfortunately,
A lot of missiles.
No, just things.
Things. I receive things in the mail or Amazon.
Thanks a lot, Amazon.
Amazon is amazing.
Are you trying to say that?
Shout out Amazon.
Are you trying to say?
Jeff Bezos? I know you're listening.
Are you trying to say females buy a lot of things?
No,
We receive a lot.
Ladies,
in the
be
mail.
shopping. But I forgot. So, anyways, the field artillery at the time it was only dudes in the unit, and So there was a small aviation unit on the same base.
Yep.
And aviation at the time they're not a male only unit.
Yeah.
So they said 9-to-1 was the male to female ratio is what the joke was. But it was called the 9-to-1. But that was the joke. It was like it's the male to female ratio on this, and it really was. It was like nothing but a bunch of dudes.
That's so weird.
Stinky, gross dudes.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that it was just that specific unit, though, like
Well,
artillery, field artillery.
Well, it was kind of a small base.
Are people assigned to those jobs, or are they chosen? Is
So-
it maybe more like females just didn't choose it? They were less likely to choose it.
Women,
Not at the time. I don't think.
yeah. Women were not allowed to be in combat arms at the time.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I
very
don't. Once
recent.
again,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the rules are.
because
But that's
you were
super
you said you were
recent,
20 at the time, right?
Yeah, I was.
So that
20.
was like
This was only like
1987 or something.
10
right?
years.
I think it was
ago.
like I think it was like just after World War II ended.
I'm making age jokes, and we're literally the same age. So
I
that
know.
doesn't make any sense.
I'm 30.
Just to clarify,
I'm
I'm not old.
I'm 30, flirty, and thriving.
34.
I never said flirty or
Well-
thriving.
Well, that was on the movie 13 Going on 30 with
Actually-
Jennifer Garner.
Sadly, I actually did see
I
that.
do
man.
know that reference.
But
Wow.
30 flirt. I mean,
That's the one that we all get. Oh
Yes.
man, this is depressing.
high quality.
we all
movie,
get
but-
the Ninja Turtle one.
Oh, okay, I'll take that. That works.
But she didn't know who Uncle Phil was. So
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Oh, don't even call me out like that. Did I not just talk about my Will Smith fantasies?
She did
They
talk about
started
Will,
with the Fresh Prince of
I thought they were
Bel-Air.
gonna say started with Uncle Phil.
No.
You know, I always
Hey, Uncle Phil, let me get in.
Started with Uncle Phil. He was a well-presented man.
He was a
A
lawyer.
well-presented.
He was a
man.
judge
He was a
at one
judge.
point. Yeah.
He was a judge.
Was he a lawyer first and then a judge? or
Uncle
he was
Phil
a
did.
judge
I think that's
first?
the
Uncle
way it
Phil
goes.
didn't
I
play,
think so,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to be a lawyer and,
And then
show
you become a judge.
and show
And then
a
you
good-
can
a
judge
good
people.
understanding.
It's the only job.
God, I would love to be a
Where
judge.
you can judge people and not be judged
Don't
yourself.
you judge me?
I am literally a judge.
Like-
It's
Oh,
literally
that-
my only
that's-
job.
my bad. Judge me all you want.
I mean, you can paint my house, but don't judge me.
It seems like a phrase. Like,
Do you think?
you can judge my house, but paint my Tim. I
Do you,
just totally.
do you think a
worded
judge's
it.
wife like uses that term?
No.
I just always feel like. It'd be
And that's
funny
also
to judge
really sexist that you assume the judge was
Well, I'm
heterosexual
gonna
male.
paint the house.
me.
No,
I'm
heterosexual.
only, see. I can only speak from
What,
experience.
you just assumed that he was saying that the judge was a male. He never said it was a male.
He said wife.
Yeah, a female can have a wife.
That's true.
Oh,
I think I said his though.
His.
Who's not
he did
being-
say
I might have
his.
Who's
said
not
his.
being woke? Oh,
You're right.
Dude,
Dude, I'm not woke.
man.
Again,
ruined it.
if I could choose to be a lesbian, I 1000% would. Women are way better than men.
No, that's not nice. It's-
I'm sorry.
We're both
So,
men.
I've
It's
never.
true. You guys know it because you're both attracted to women also.
They're pretty high.
yeah.
I've never been woke. I've always been awakened though.
I'll say Ryan Gosling. I'm just saying,
I know. It's just
Is that your guy?
he's a handsome man.
you guys have to think about it. Like,
Who's
okay,
my guy? Who's my guy? Is that what you're asking?
No, you guys.
He
have
wants
to,
to
think
say
about
who his guy is. I can tell.
when we'll get to that. When you're with someone, that part of it is so like just a small part of it. They have to be like able to hold a conversation
some parts are
with you
bigger than others.
past
I can
that.
hold the conversation.
Right. And some people can. Other people, sometimes very attractive people, cannot.
I feel like you're making fun of
I
Brad
believe there's a
Pitt
term for
somehow.
that.
No, I'm not.
The term is beautiful idiot.
I'm just saying we're all gonna
It's a
get
beautiful
elderly and like not look great. So like you should be looking for a mate that like
Speak
makes
for
you laugh
yourself.
and is like
That's
has
right.
a good personality.
Because he already doesn't look great.
Hey! All right, who's the dude you're attracted to,
Yeah,
Joe?
go.
Let it out, man.
Who's you doing?
There are
It can't be better
two
than Ryan
dudes.
Gosling.
There's two dudes.
Really? Because I feel like there's better.
I've got
Jason
He's
Momoa.
got it all, man.
Jason me and his wife
I actually
have
have
that in common.
a printed out picture of Jason Momoa in my cube because
I have a magazine picture of Jason Momoa in my queue because
he's an
a
attractive man
friend
too.
of mine from the gym, her husband got Esquire magazine, I guess he was on.
Esquire.
And she's like, he's done reading it. Do you want the pictures? And I was like, yes. Yes.
No,
Jason Mimosa.
So for me, I think for me, the guy can't be more of a guy than me, so he needs to be a pretty guy.
So no
Let's
Jason
examine
Momosa.
that.
Like a big hairy guy.
Examine
Well,
that.
I was saying no beard is really what I was going.
Jason
Okay.
Mimosa, yeah.
Mimosa.
That's why Ryan Gosling's perfect.
Well, yeah, but
He can sing, he can dance.
Can he
He's
sing and
funny.
dance?
Yeah, did you ever see that singing movie he did? What's it called? What's the
No.
singing one?
oh, singing and dancing with Ryan
No,
Gosling.
But
no,
also,
no.
he was like, okay.
The one with Emma. whatever
And nothing
her name
against
is.
Ryan. I love you. Nothing against
He's
Ryan Gosling.
hilarious,
Shout out
dude.
Ryan
He's in
Gosling.
so many good
I never
movies.
watched it, but I know the movie you're talking
I
about.
only saw clips.
La La Land.
La La Land. Yeah, he
Yeah,
can
like
sing.
robbed all the
Gosh,
other
thank
movies
darn it.
awards.
Only two.
Wow, you
only-
have some animosity towards La La Land. It's a very
No.
specific
So
thing.
if I was though, there's two guys, and Digna hates one of them for sure.
Which
Oh, no.
one? Okay.
Tom Brady.
Oh my
Brady.
god.
I don't know why.
That's
I don't know why.
disgusting, but I
Wow.
understand because he is
She's-
definitely less
she's-
of a man
cause she-
than you.
Well, obviously.
Opinions.
As she sips
Obviously.
out of her Jets.
I would
cup.
say because she's a Jets fan, but yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I'm a Buccaneers fan.
I don't watch
so-
football, so I
Oh,
literally.
no.
I'm a hockey guy.
He's a baby, but anyways.
Go
on.
Islanders.
So that's one, and the other
It's
one.
a way more manly
And,
sport
and my
than
and my other
football.
one is Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt
I
up
feel like-
top.
I
Hell yeah.
Who would not fuck Brad Pitt? Like,
Wow.
what is like?
Who
Is there
hasn't?
anyone?
A eunuch,
I haven't.
perhaps.
I don't know.
Cheater.
I'm just saying, look, my avatar for pretty much everything I ever do online is Tyler Durden from Fight Club, which of course is Brad Pitt.
So people think you're
Or
like
is it?
super attractive.
Are you sure?
And
It's,
Smoke.
are you sure it's not really Edward Norton?
Yeah.
It's not Edward Norton, although I do love Fight Club is one of my favorite.
No, I was
movies.
just saying because
Such a
of the
good movie.
whole Tyler was not a
Yeah,
real
no, I
person.
get that. Yeah,
Yeah, we got it.
I've
We
seen the
got it.
movie
We've all
1,000
seen the
times.
movie. I read the book.
Joke.
Oh, you
God.
another movie.
I want to read that book
Yes!
so bad. Is he really good?
I'll be honest with you. That is the only movie that I think is better than the book.
Really?
And nothing against
The
the
book is so
author
good.
because I love the author and I've read lots of his other. Yeah, I don't know how to say his last
Was
name,
that-
so I'm
no
not
one
going to
does.
say it.
No one does.
But I've read a lot of his other books, and he's a great writer. But something about that movie just brought that book.
It's fantastic.
Was there-
like, up.
It's the visual tricks they do.
Yeah.
I think
So-
you can't
so
do that in a book.
This is
so
one where I'm either going to be right or hilariously wrong. So I think
I'm
Digna
hoping
was
for B.
I think Digna read a book by this particular guy. I haven't read any of his
The
stuff.
Fight Club guy.
Yeah.
I've
exactly.
read a lot. He's written
Chuck
a lot
Tuck-
of books.
Well,
Palaka
sure.
Malek.
Yes. But
Chuck Polish.
apparently one of them in one of the books, somebody's butt cheek gets cut off and they eat it.
Oh
cut it
yeah,
in.
so there's one called
Okay, is
Survivor.
that-
I was right.
Is that alive?
He's alone on an island. It's a plane crash.
I don't know.
Is that
whole story.
alive in the snow?
Alive?
No.
Yeah,
it-
you remember
no,
the
it-
movie
it-
Alive?
No. Yes.
They
yes.
eat a butt cheek in that movie. They plane crashes
literally
in
a
the
butt
middle of the
cheek?
mountains. Yeah.
I mean, don't you? I don't know because
I'm probably-
I
I
feel
think
like
it
butts
was. It
are
was a
pretty
long time ago.
muscular. Like, don't you want to? So I
No,
don't,
fatty.
So
I mean,
I
it probably
don't-
tastes delicious.
I don't eat fat. I don't eat fat. No, I don't eat meat. So I don't know what you're like looking for in a piece of meat.
See, it,
like
it,
literally.
it does vary. A lot of people
Two
prefer
words,
lean meat.
Brad Pitt,
I
that's
like
the piece of meat
fatty
I was
meat.
looking for.
Wow.
But isn't fatty meat like more delicious?
I believe so, 100%.
So like I feel
Some
like
people
a lot
think fatty meat is disgusting.
I guess not everyone's
Too
butt is
fatty.
muscular.
And
but
then I take
know
the
people
fatty
with
meat from them
muscular
and I eat it.
butts. Yeah.
Well, you are in CrossFit, so there's a lot of muscular butts in CrossFit.
Haven't noticed.
Haven't noticed. Haven't noticed.
Never heard of her.
Maybe this is a good time to move on to the next beer. I don't know.
We have been away for a really long time. I don't even know how long it's been. It's got to be north of an hour right now. I can say that with all certainty.
East of an hour, maybe. Northeast.
Northeast. It's a good nor'easter of an hour.
We're in the Banana River, which is a lagoon. Sorry.
A lagoon?
Continue.
Oh, back to the first episode. We're going to try another beer. This is just a special beer.
Yes. I'm very excited about this.
So the labeling is not the reason David brought this one.
Okay, so this is my favorite beer on earth. It's
Dude, your mic's off again.
Shut up.
I'm just...
That already happened. That already happened once today. So this is Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout, which is an imperial stout. Now, what's special about this beer is it's designed and just perfect for aging. And I'm big into aging beers. But my problem when it comes to aging beers is don't look at the label.
What?
He's trying to see what year it is.
No, I was just looking how they were similar. No, I was looking at the top how one was...
Oh, the caps are different. Yeah.
Silver and black.
They flip the cap, yeah. Anyway, so my problem is I age a lot of beers, but I never, ever, ever want to drink them. I always feel like I'm going to drink this and I'm never going to have it again. You know, you have this beer from multiple years ago. You can never get that beer again.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. So this is very difficult for me. And I decided to pick one of my oldest ones too. So here is last year's brew, winter 2019. This is the one that came out with it always comes out in the winter. This
very
one,
vintage.
It's a very vintage. So this one is 2014, 2015.
Wow.
Yes. So we should see some good changes. So this is called the vertical when you have two different years of the same beer side by side. Oh. So this will be fun, and I'm pretty excited about it because...
Let's get near the mic.
Yeah, my bad. Okay, here we go. You ready? Okay, that's the 2019. Let's see if it sounds different. Okay, here's the 2014, 2015. It's totally different. You're crazy. Okay. Totally different.
I don't know anything.
So
second one sounded more vintage.
The branding is pretty similar. They changed up a little bit, but it looks pretty similar. This is a very heavy duty beer. It's 10% alcohol. It has a ton of flavor.
What's the other 90%?
So complex. It's amazing. The other 90% is magic.
I knew it. Yes,
magic. Okay, so
it's really the extra 91%, and it can be more than 100 because it's magic.
This one goes to 11. All right, so we have 2 glasses each, so we can taste these. So as you can see, it is black as night. And wow,
it's actually really dark brown.
Not to be confused with the dark night.
And then it's got a nice tan head. Oh, it's so beautiful.
He's gotten really into it, guys.
Really into it. You don't even know. It's so good. Look at it. It just smells so good.
Do you ever use some of these terms you're using about this beer for your wife? If so, she's like the luckiest woman in the world.
Oh wow.
So you're so gorgeous and beautiful.
Dark. That's what my boyfriend says.
I mean, she grew
so
up
dark.
She grew up in Detroit, so. All right, there we go.
I'm not sure what that's like.
Oh god, look at it! I'm just getting excited. Look at it, guys! Look at it! Look at it!
We are all staring at it right now.
I'm making eye contact with your beer.
Okay, so let's take the 2019. So we're gonna start with that.
That was the first one.
That was the first one I poured.
I'm gonna do a nose comparison.
Do a nose comparison. It's a great idea.
So just like Bud Light, you're right.
The aged ones does have a stronger smell.
Yeah.
Okay. You got more of the alcohol.
So typically, what'll happen when a beer like this ages is you get a lot more complex flavors in the taste, but it'll mellow out as well. So you're not going to get a lot of bite. You're not going to get a heavy alcohol flavor. It's going to become smooth. All right, you're allowed to drink.
Well, I was going to say, I think.
Brittany was like, "Stop talking, so I can take a sip."
Well, I think the first thing you can notice too, just looking at them. Regardless of how you package it, some of the carbonation is going to leave over time.
No, I don't think I poured yours well. Look at my second one.
Oh, that's your old one? Okay.
Yeah, that's the old one.
Hey, remember that time I said something stupid? You disregarded. I was going to say, because, it looks...
Theoretically, the carbonation shouldn't be affected. It's sealed, and unless it wasn't bottled properly.
Is it signed, sealed, and delivered?
It's signed, sealed, and delivered. Actually, there is some air exchange with bottled beer, but it shouldn't be a lot.
I love air supply.
Negligible.
God, I love this beer. It's so good.
This would be really good in a glass of cold brew.
A what?
Like if you took a cold brew coffee.
Oh, blend it together?
Yeah, and put this in
Heck
it.
yeah, it's a great idea. I'm big into blending beers. That's like
I'm not going to start taking
people
that to
need
work.
to do it more. Why?
Do you know what I put in my
I feel
water
the
bottle?
complete opposite.
Got to get a not
Alright.
clear bottle.
So
I used to have a job. I won't say specifically what job it was,
Harris.
but
oh,
shut your
you
mouth.
said you wouldn't say it. I didn't.
No.
I could say it.
oh yeah.
I now don't have a
Yeah.
job because of
Apple.
these two.
But yeah, but no. When I worked at a previous job, I would get 2-for-1 margaritas at Chili's during my dinner break when I was on second shift.
No judgment here.
Well, you
No-
did
no
tell us
judgment.
that your wife goes to Total Wine for lunch, so
It's a-
we understand.
That was a misspeak.
It's a Yarborough thing. All right, let's try the.
Well, she married into it. Then I mean, it's not my fault. I'm victim. I'm a victim here. I'm blameless.
So this beer's been sitting for 5 years now. So
Where's it been sitting?
it has been sitting in mostly in room temperature. I did have it in a wine cooler for a
Okay.
while, but the wine cooler broke, so it was a little cooler. The warmer the beer is, the quicker it ages. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely better. Like,
It's just
I don't
super
want to be
different.
that person, but it's better.
Yeah, it is. It's
it
super
really
good. It's like, okay,
The
so
first one's not bad, but tasting them side by side,
Yeah.
you really can tell the difference.
I feel like the biggest difference is in the back and the finish. You can taste
Yeah.
like you can taste it's that bite, you know, when you drink the 2019 one, the 2019 one, it tastes like you're drinking a fresh
Is
imperial
this a
stout.
Prohibition beer? 1920. Wow.
Oh my god, that would be
It's
so
been
cool.
sitting since the 20s.
We found it in an old speakeasy in my crawl space.
I bought it back then. A lot of older
Time
money.
traveler,
It's probably haunted, but
and that's why they're called spirits.
But yeah, so it's got like a sharper flavor to it. I mean, this 2014 one is just
I feel
It's like drinking
the
milk, you know?
2014 one has like a really like rounded out flavor. Like you
Yeah.
just taste a lot more of the chocolate and stuff,
Mhm.
like than more of just beer.
There's a
it's got a little tang to it too.
yeah.
you
Well,
know?
that's what I was gonna say. There's a beverage called Malta,
Mhm.
Malta.
They've had that before.
Yeah.
multiple
It
times.
almost reminds me
Yes,
a
it
bit
is
of the Malta.
got a Malta kind of flavor.
Yeah.
to it. Although Malta is a lot stronger though. Malta's got a lot of flavor, man.
Well, but Malta is just it's a non-alcoholic malt beverage, and it just but it's got a very similar color
Yeah,
and all that
yeah.
stuff. But
Mhm.
it's a very unique. But it almost had obviously there's that alcohol tang at the end, but it has a very similar taste to that.
You know, we should look online and see because you know somebody's done this. Take some Malta, throw it in a carboy, and pitch some yeast in there.
I mean, I feel like you would have to add sugar to keep the
Yeah.
to keep the flavor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's got a ton of sugar. Oh, you're saying after? Well, it depends on how long you let it ferment.
Yeah,
You know, but
it is very good.
very excited. I have now. It may appear that I'm like, oh, this is my one bottle from 2014. I'm letting us drink it now. I have more than one.
We know
I have a
we're not
lot.
that special.
Now-
I have a
now
problem.
if-
I mentioned
now-
that before.
Now, if you did have a time machine,
I know we're not that special.
but you know, if you did indeed have a time machine, then it would be really cool if you had the aged one, then you could go back to 2014 and get a non-aged one, and then do those.
That would
side
be
by side.
great. I mean, the recipes should be the same, but there's things that change
Whether you
outside
try
of
or
the.
not.
Well, you know, you're
the,
buying
the hops,
the harvest of grain
exactly.
that year and all that.
Exactly.
For sure, yes.
Like yes, we're
absolutely.
using Cascade hops across the board, but
Yeah,
this
there's no way you can
year-
really
yeah.
replicate it identically.
Also,
yeah.
just from like fictional movies, you really shouldn't mess with time because it always messes something else up in the future.
Depends on the movie. What was it? I just
I
watched
feel
something
like
with
every
time
movie,
travel.
you have
But
to
you know what-
remember there's consequences.
But you
to
know what?
messing
Maybe
with
it's
stuff.
I've actually done probably more thinking about. Once again, we talked offline. This didn't make it on air, but how very you know
Spit it out, boy.
I guess not compassionate. So whatever happens, as long as it's outside of my realm.
Oh,
then
so
that's-
you don't
that's
mind?
fine.
You don't mind changing
If
the
the-
entire
if-
course of humanity? Is what you're
If
trying
the
to say.
universe burns, but you know what? I got to have the same beer.
He's fine. He's fine. with
Worth
that.
it
At the same time. Did you ever see that episode of The Simpsons? It was one of the Halloween special ones where Homer gets, I think it was a toaster, and it sends him back in time, and then he keeps coming back, and he's trying to get back to the same reality that he started in, but every time he goes back, he changes something, and it like, and at one
Nice.
point he goes back to the dinosaurs, starts stomping on animals and stuff. You
Yeah, that-
remember that?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I think the
It's
further
funny.
back
And
you go, the more
everybody
stuff
has
you
lizard
mess up.
tongues.
It
So,
does,
That's funny.
yeah.
so like if I go back like my son's already born. We'll say 2015. My son's already born, so we're good. I still got him. I've still got.
But now you
all that
come
stuff.
forward, he's a crack addict.
Yeah, he looks the same,
And-
but he ain't the same.
In 4 years, he
Yes.
became a crack.
Yes. What? We don't know.
He
What
makes
were
the
we
papers
putting in your bottle?
youngest crack addict.
He makes the news. Florida child becomes crack.
Not even a
addict.
crack addict. He's actually like a kingpin
Yes.
selling it.
What is it? Youngest graduate from the School of Hard Knocks. Like what?
You never know.
Oh my gosh, this is
Speaking
definitely
of
the second one.
speaking of, we said Florida child.
It's so good.
We do have to circle back to something we did before this started. There's something somebody posted. I guess it's kind of a big thing, but what you're supposed to put is your date of birth. You don't have to put the year. Just put in, like I was born June 26th, and what you do is you put in your birthday. And after that you type in Florida man, or you type in Florida man in the date. I don't know if it matters much. So, and it's really funny what you're going to come upon when you do your birthday and Florida man. So I'm going to open up the old laptop here.
And to be clear, you will always come upon something crazy,
It's-
no matter when
it's
your
pretty
birthday
cool.
is.
I mean, some of the
Florida
things are.
man. She
some of
knows she's done every day of the year just to test it.
Some of the things are
Yes.
really not that great, but
But they're so funny.
You just totally contradicted what she just said.
well, I said no, but there might be like 7 things.
She's like, it
for your
doesn't
day.
matter what year, they're all
No,
awesome.
I'm-
Joe's like, yeah, sometimes they're terrible, but you know.
She said what date? She didn't say year. No, but like there's a really good one for my birthday, and then there's another one that's like, oh, that's not that great, but there's a pretty good one. So we're going.
You pretty much don't have to go past the first page of Google to find a good
So-
headline.
That's a good way
June
of putting it.
26th. Florida man is what I typed. Florida man June 26th is what I actually Googled, and it says. I'm sorry.
I don't remember what
just
yours
reading
says.
it. So it says, and this is apparently happened at Busch Gardens.
Oh, this is the good one.
All right. So it says.
Bring
says-
the
I
license
still
on.
need more details.
It says
on it.
Florida man accused of killing dancing flamingo is hit by truck and killed before trial.
You can't make up something like that.
There's
like-
I have so many questions.
I don't know. But
Every word of that entire
So many
title had something
questions.
ridiculous.
so the best part, the
dancing, not just a flamingo.
so
a
this
dancing
man,
flamingo.
Joseph Corrao or
Corrao.
Corrao, Corrao, Corrao. 48 was hit by a truck in Orlando, but he was accused of killing Pinky, a
Aw.
well-known, beloved flamingo at
Well-known.
Busch Gardens, Tampa
Everybody
Bay.
knows Pinky.
He
What does
was-
that mean? Well known. What are they trying to say about Pinky?
Pinky gets around.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, you have to think about that. If she's a main attraction, I'm assuming she's a she.
Why? Because Pink's a female flamingo?
No,
No,
what's that supposed
just
to
because
mean?
her name's
Come on,
Pinky
Brittany.
and she dances and, like, women are better than men. Okay, moving on.
I mean, my wife's a woman. She dances a lot better than me. Her science checks
But, like,
out.
Actually, that works well with me too. Yeah, okay.
she, he, they, them, neither, or flamingo is really popular. Like, they're a thing that people go to Busch Gardens to see. How did this man infiltrate that without people seeing? Because he was just accused. He was never convicted. If there were witnesses, like he shot it, he would be convicted, right?
Yeah.
But he was only accused, so he had to have done something sneaky.
He allegedly grabbed the Chilean flamingo from its pen and slammed it to the ground.
Okay, so he just did not
Forcing
give a
the
fuck.
zoo staff to euthanize
Why?
her. There you go.
Oh,
Why?
so he did kill it. That's not allegedly. They
Why?
had to euthanize
I
it.
know, what's the
afterwards.
allegedly
But
part?
apparently he was innocent until
He
proven
probably
guilty.
wasn't convicted yet.
No,
Officially,
he wasn't because karma convicted him. And
Did he get killed when he got hit by the truck?
Yeah, he got hit by a
Okay,
truck and died.
good.
So this happened last year. So
Wait, what would possess somebody at a theme park to walk up to an exhibit, grab an animal, and slam it on the?
A psychopath?
Maybe he hates dancing. That he's like,
No.
you're dancing? No,
He was a
not on my
psychopath.
watch.
But think
Yeah, it's
about
like,
the
I hate
children that
flamingos,
were
I
around.
hate
Think
dancing.
about-
I
The
usually do
children.
not think about the children. I don't care about them. But, like, how traumatizing would that be? Like, yeah, when I was 5 years old, we went to Busch Gardens for the first time and saw a guy smash a flamingo into the concrete.
I know that's like a serial killer in the making right there.
So it says
that guy did a lot more damage than we realized.
It says he allegedly became insanely jealous when the flamingo stood on one foot,
Shut
and
up!
he tried and spilled his beer.
Shut up!
That's not true at all.
Retarded.
Not true at all.
Allegedly. I said allegedly.
Way to
It's
tie
not
it.
true.
Way to tie it into beer, though.
Well, I'm gonna take a bite at that headline because I don't think he allegedly killed that flamingo. It sounds like it was planned, premeditated, and he did it.
Oh, you just true crime that ish right there.
Yes.
Bam.
Wildly speculating.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Premeditated flamingicide.
Flamingo.
You make me sick.
It's a felony in Florida.
Flamingicide specifically.
Yes.
What's the next?
But now, if it was a stork, it's all good.
Oh yeah, no one cares about storks. They're big old noses.
How
Come
dare
on.
they? They're not noses, they're beaks.
Whatever.
But don't
No
screw
one
with us.
cares.
on.
That'd be cool if
No
they
one
had-
cares, Joe. That's my point.
That'd be cool if they had a nose above their beak.
That'd be horrible.
That'd be terrifying.
It's the Jimmy
Not
Durante
okay.
of birds. Do you know who Jimmy Durante is?
I don't.
The Olaf of birds.
I know who Olaf
I
is.
know.
There we go. We'll go with that.
I know who Olaf is.
He's my age translator here.
let me translate this for you, Brittany.
Olaf.
The Olaf
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
birds.
got that one.
Olaf, he has a big nose.
All right, so we're gonna go a day later, and so we've got June 27th. So
Wait, why are we going a day later?
our very own Brittany.
That's me.
Is that you?
Oh, I thought it was me for a minute. I got scared. It's like, and so we've got. So this would be actually. So the other one actually happened in 2019. So if you were looking for the year, but still it was June 26th. So this one happened the year before, almost an entire year before to the day, because her birthday is a day after mine, and
50 years apart.
and 50 years younger I am. Oh my gosh, this guy looks good too. It says
That was kind of Dr. Seuss.
it says naked man stood in a fire and chanted gibberish. Mushrooms did it, cops say. So this
I
is
mean,
a naked
mushrooms
Florida
will
man.
do that.
This is a naked Florida man.
Mushrooms did it, cops
was
said.
and it said it does say in another place he actually burned himself while dancing in the fire, not around a fire.
Well, I mean,
While chanting.
that seems
And
like
this
that
guy,
You guys see the theme here, right?
If-
Dancing.
if you guys,
would
dancing is
happen.
bad.
Yeah.
And
Stop
flames.
dancing.
Flamingos.
So maybe
Conspiracy.
the town in Footloose had something. They were doing something right. When they were
Nobody-
banning dancing.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Dancing leads
It's
to murder.
Oh.
Footloose, not
That's the
Dirty
wrong
Dancing.
movie.
But check this out.
I hate
Look at
both
this-
of those movies,
Wrong
by
movie,
the way.
but kind of the same.
Look at
movie.
Kind of the same movie.
Look at this guy.
He looks like John Fraley.
Oh, no.
So I'm plugged in, but
You're fine. I don't need to look at him. He
No,
already
He
told
looks
me
like
what
John
he
Fraley.
looks like.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, he's special.
he looks
Aw.
like a man who might do mushrooms, get naked,
Yeah.
and dance in a fire.
You should not dance in a fire with that crazy mane that he has.
I just
He's
I
like-
a-
can't believe he
he's
still
like a
has that much
lion.
hair.
I like that they had to explain to you that he was burning because he was in the fire. It's like, well, yeah, no, duh.
Is
Like,
that right?
that's how things happen.
I don't burn in fires.
He was burned by lasers as he was standing in a
Yeah, it
fire.
could've been
How
by
did that
lasers.
happen?
Yeah.
It was a chemical burn, and he
I
tried
want
to put
to
it
know
out with fire.
what was he chanting? Was it genuine gibberish, or they just didn't understand it?
I know, because gibberish is kind of like a little
That's a great
language,
He
point.
could have been chanting something
like a
important.
pig Latin, or maybe he did know gibberish.
Did
and,
he die?
And no, he's standing there.
Okay. Good. I mean, I'm glad he didn't die because it seems like he was just on a bad trip
I mean, he might.
or a good trip, and he was enjoying it.
He was.
I mean, it was a good trip until he climbed the fire.
Yeah.
It said this is at 1:30 in the morning,
Accurate.
completely
1:30.
naked in the front yard, holding a knife,
Oh, well, see, then when you're holding a weapon,
and he's only 27 years old. That dude looks like about 57.
he died.
That guy's 27?
no,
No way. There's no way that guy's 27.
For
I mean,
all the
look, he
kids-
doesn't have any creases in his forehead.
That's
For
nuts.
all the kids listening, that's what drugs does to
I
you.
just figure what makes you look. Oh,
Drugs are bad.
I guess that makes
Marijuana's
sense.
bad. and good.
I'd like to real quick. I'd just like to step back for a second here. I actually agree with you. I think there is less carbonation in the 2014 one.
I know there is because I'm amazing.
After tasting it, the head was the same, but the you can definitely.
Where's your
the
head at?
mouthfeel is not quite the same though.
I'm sorry, but the term.
I'm gonna skip
I-
past that joke.
I understand the term mouthfeel. I really wish there was a better
Me
word.
too.
It's like
my moist. I don't like it.
See, back in like 2008, when me and my friends first, me and Matt started doing our Beer of the Month club.
me and Billy down at
We-
the schoolyard.
We used to make fun of the word mouthfeel, but I've heard it so many times now that it actually seems appropriate.
No, I mean it's honestly the proper term. It makes sense, but
It just sounds gross.
it sounds.
Mouthfeel. Just like shuddering.
All right, so we've got Dave, and his birthday is December 27th.
That's right, baby.
And Florida Man, December 27th. First one. Florida man tries to use weed to pay for food.
Ah.
I mean,
I haven't done that.
That's called bartering.
That's just bartering.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Not
how we
great.
used to do
Well,
it.
there was a
out
better
there.
one. I know there's a better one there.
There was another one, and there's the other one.
Yeah, that's the one.
The other one is Florida man worried about vampires intentionally burns down his home.
That's the best one.
And that also happened in 2018. So
we all had good segues because Dancing Flamingo to Man Dancing in Flames to vampires burning down a home.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
a good segue through
vampire
those.
flamingos.
You know, really,
make you
fire's the common thread because you got
It
burning
cleanses
house,
all.
the guy in the fire, and then the flamingos.
Yeah.
Three.
I'm
I actually
gonna
made
make
it
a
early.
new
I don't think
movie
anyone
called
heard.
Vampire Flamingos of Florida. It's happening.
Vampire flamingos of Florida.
Well, and you know,
I almost said flamingo. If you burn a vampire, does
are
it
they
disappear?
flammable?
No, this is a serious question.
What do you mean if you burn a vampire? They're already dead.
Is there a carcass? Is what I'm trying to say.
No, they're already dead.
So,
You can't
but I'm
burn
saying, is
them.
there any evidence if you burn a vampire?
What do you mean by burn? You can't burn them.
They're not
like you could
flammable?
hold fire to them and they would just be like whatever.
Oh, vampires are
That's
not.
why the only way you can kill them is with a stake through the heart.
They're made out of asbestos.
Well, okay. Well,
because
this.
they're already dead.
Here's my point.
They don't have any like blood flow.
The man was
Well,
the
blood's
man.
not necessarily flammable, so I
Yeah,
mean,
this chest has no blood in it. It would also.
I
I'm pretty sure it would
know, but
burn.
I'm saying
Also, it's
they
not
can
alive.
only be killed one way if you're going on basically vampire lore, which we are.
what about holy
Oh,
water?
are we?
Holy water will burn their skin.
Burn, so they can burn.
But not with fire.
So
You
this
said
guy.
fire.
So you think this man just doesn't really?
What if a
he
priest-
doesn't know his vampire lore?
What if a
is basically what
priest
you're saying.
blessed gasoline?
And then you lit that on fire?
Done.
Holy water,
Why
gasoline
did he
on
think
fire.
vampires were going to burn down his house? So did he do
No,
something
no,
against
he
the vampire
burned
community?
he burned his house down on purpose. He burned
and
his own
blamed
house.
it on vampires.
No, he was trying to kill the vampires. I think he thought they were
I
vampires.
thought this was a completely different
This is
story.
how I understand it. He thought vampires were in his house.
Oh, and so to
He
get rid
sets
of them,
it on
he was a
fire to
vampire.
kill them. That's why
Well,
I
that
don't
would
think
be
he
a bad
understood.
idea because every vampire thing I've watched, which is a lot, they walk out of burning houses and they're fine.
No
But you
big
know what?
deal.
But you know what? Interview with a vampire. He sets everything on fire, and as they get out of their coffins, he starts hitting them with the scythe. He's like,
Oh, so it still upsets them then.
I mean,
It upset them enough to get out of their coffins.
Yeah, because it's their clothes. You'll never get the smell of smoke out of
Yeah,
your clothes.
they're like, what
True.
the hell, man?
I'm just kidding. It's
We're
gonna
just
burn your
trying to
clothes
rest
off.
here.
This guy had a large knife too. Come on.
See, I think the key here is large knife.
No,
it's
that-
not
not the-
it's not the burning and vampires that got him in trouble. It was the large knife.
It says-
what was the burning for?
The Florida man has been charged with arson after police say he screamed about vampires before intentionally setting his own house on fire while a woman was inside.
Oh, see, that's another detail we needed.
Uh,
that's a
but-
way different.
Wow, that
was she
really
a
changes the
vampire?
story.
Yeah, that changes everything.
He was arrested by Daytona Beach Police Department.
Oh, it was in Daytona.
Yeah, but Daytona Beach. So
Yeah.
you know. Let's see. Dispatch informed officers that he had a large knife and was knocking on doors, saying his house was on fire and the victim was inside.
And I'm gonna stab you. if
Do you
try to
think he
help her.
intentionally tried to burn the person? He was like, "Get those vampires out!" Oh no, this
There is
this
no-
female
I don't
person
know.
is inside.
I have a lot of questions.
No,
about that
there is
one,
no
too.
doubt in my mind that this man just wanted to murder this woman, and he wanted to be able to plead insanity later on down the road.
Officers made contact with the victim, who told officers she had been with Weaver for 20 years and married 8 years. I wonder
Aw.
if she was still in the house when
It's
they
a
made
love story.
contact. Like, hey, how do you know this guy? Well, he's trying to burn me down, but we've been together for 20 years.
Can you
so.
come put this out, by the way?
The victim said earlier that day he had been rambling and began to get worse, so she called 911 to Baker Act him.
Baker Act that mofo.
I mean, that makes sense. If you're screaming about vampires in the middle of the street.
She stated that when officers arrived on the scene, he was in sound mind and could not be Baker acted.
Doesn't sound like it.
This is the most
What do they
confusing
consider
story.
sound mind?
Apparently, I burned down my house because of vampires is still considered sound
This
mind.
was before he burned down the house. But he
Oh,
was
that was
already
before he
ranting
burned down
about the
the house.
vampires. Like, I feel like we would be like, we're going to maybe take ya.
I think we need a visual timeline.
Oh my gosh, it's interesting.
Joe's reading it. We're just getting it from him.
Yeah, I mean, she's like telling him he's crazy, and he began tearing insulation from the ceiling.
Oh,
and-
boy. So he was starting a big fire.
Where's the sound mind part? This doesn't make any sense at all.
According to the victim, Weaver only takes pain medication for his cancer and is not sure if he took any other drugs. She was not sure if he had taken any pain medication. He had to be feeling no pain.
I don't think LSD counts as pain medication.
I mean, he could have been
I mean-
on opioids, like a lot of opioids.
It is quite popular.
An
these
overdose
days.
of opioids, unfortunately.
I guess maybe I don't have a good frame of reference for these things, and I probably don't need it. But if I was like, "Oh my God, there are vampires in my house," I feel like my brain would be like, "But they're fake."
See, I feel like
and that would be like the end of it. I mean, I might be like, "Wow, the room
Joe,
is
that's
spinning."
because
but-
you're not insane.
but I
That's
feel
the difference
like
between
if someone
sane people
told
and
me
insane people.
if someone told me there were vampires in my house, I'd be like, "Sweet, when can I meet them and become one?" Like, I don't understand why people are so against vampires these days.
I mean,
it's vampirism.
yeah.
It's messed up, man.
It's the same as like people who like discover they have like superpowers and they're like, I don't want this life. It's like, why not? Life is so boring. If I discovered I had superpowers, I would be stoked.
Freaking unbreakable.
So stoked.
Hey, Joe, why don't you hand me that copper pony over there? See it right there? Right in the
No.
middle? Right there. Copper pony in the front. Right in the front. Second from the left. In the front. There you go.
I was actually looking for something made out of copper.
I thought you were talking about like the dog that was on top of that.
Oh man, no, that's not a dog. That's a man on a horse.
So
I couldn't
That's
see
Blanton's.
The,
That
I couldn't
stuff,
see the man. I could
dude.
see
That's
the man.
that's awesome bourbon. That
We
Blanton's.
had it last night. I went to a whiskey tasting.
That's okay. So it's really, really hard to get now. You
Yeah.
can't buy it anywhere. It's become like
It was a Buffalo Trace
hot
tasting.
commodity.
well, how does that
That's
company
awesome.
make any money if you can't buy it?
I
We
don't
just
know.
make it and stockpile it.
I think they became.
nuclear
They're one
winter.
of the few distilleries, bourbon distilleries, that make single barrel whiskey. Not many of them do, and I think it blew up out of nowhere. And I think it's like a roughly 4-year process. So they just.
There's also something about something you can't have being more valuable.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? Like something that's rare.
Of
is more
course.
valuable.
like Cuban cigars.
Yeah.
Because of the embargo and all that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, Cuban cigars were like a hot commodity and all this
Yep.
kind of stuff. And I'm not a tobacco guy anyway, but I don't know that they would be any better or worse.
But
No,
a part of you was like, well, I want one because I can't have one.
Well, you know
like,
what?
you know what I'm saying? I feel like we
Yeah.
have this like natural human nature.
I
to want
got
something
to-
we can't have.
I got the chance to try Cuban cigars when I went to Ecuador, and it was Monte Cristo, which is a brand you can get here,
Mhm.
and they weren't any different. They really weren't, but I literally enjoyed them more because of the fact that
I had
it was.
I had
you don't
old-
get to smoke, and I
Yeah.
can tell people I got to smoke some
if
Cuban
something
cigars. It was pretty
feels
cool.
Well, not everybody
exclusive,
does, so
Yeah,
whatever.
it
you enjoy it
feels
more. You just do.
different. Yeah.
well,
It's stupid,
when I was
but it's
in-
not.
It's true.
It doesn't make it not true.
when I was in Iraq, you can a lot of stuff kind of goes by the wayside there. But I got really old stale cohibas, which cohiba is supposed to be like the whatever. I was like, still tastes like, but they were old and stale. Cause
Is that
by
the one with
time
the
they get
Indian
there-
on the front?
No, it's speckled, yellow, black, and white. Kind of the label coloring cohiba. Yeah,
I'm looking at the label.
yeah. Look it
right
up. But
now.
that's supposed to be one of the big Cuban cigars. So like, cool. Made. You can't bring them back to the States, but you can smoke them while you're over there in the desert. These old stale cigars, but you can't bring them back to the States.
Yep, you can't.
I mean, maybe you can now. I mean, with all that stuff.
Yeah, there's
lifting.
been a lot of changes with the whole
I know you can go there now.
Cuban trade things.
Also, I feel like, did you guys ever go to Miami before that? Because you could get lots of Cuban things
Dude,
from Miami.
I've been to Miami like one time ever.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan.
I
of it.
remember you could get
it's
Cuban
really far
cigars
away.
there even when people couldn't.
Hey,
Yeah,
I was right.
see?
What did I say? I said yellow.
Yeah, but look, little Indian guy.
Oh, but I said yellow, black, and white speckled. I mean,
Yeah, no, you're right.
That was pretty good.
That was
from
pretty
memory.
actually.
I don't
When
know
you said that, I'm
is.
like, what in the hell are you saying?
Like polka dots,
Speckled.
It
Yeah,
looks
is.
like a girl with a ponytail.
Yeah, but it's not.
But she could be Indian.
Quiet you.
She
Like
could-
from India, though, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's Indian.
Are you talking about Native Americans or Indians?
I mean, I don't know.
those are two different things.
Yeah, I don't know.
Christopher Columbus.
Yay, Columbus Day!
We're not even close. Are we close to Columbus?
No, I'm just
No, is
making
it?
a
It's
reference.
also
President Day?
now
No,
called Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you. very much.
Indigenous Peoples
Oh, I
Day.
misread that. I thought it said indigestion.
I
People
actually,
Day.
you know what my problem with that is? Indigenous Peoples Day? I hate when people use the word peoples. It bothers me. People
But I
is
think
perfectly sufficient.
grammatically, though,
Why do
it
we gotta
is
add
correct.
an S?
How
to
about
people?
Grammatically.
How about
It's correct.
persons?
No, I don't like that one.
You don't
either.
like that one either?
Because then it's personal. It's just that one person.
Just stick with people.
But you can say like
People help people. That's what it's all about.
people who need people.
But you're saying it's the People's Day. They own that day.
But
like it's apostrophe.
But they
S.
sometimes use the
Indigenous Peoples Day. Oh,
Like, they
okay.
own
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
Not people's plural. People's they own it.
All right.
with an
I'll
apostrophe.
allow it.
That's
allow
what
it.
it.
No,
That's how the grammar.
that makes me
is.
feel better about
Yeah.
it. I'm not kidding. You should just put a little splash of Copper Pony, which is a bourbon, by the way, in.
Is it a bourbon? Because it looks like it's a rye whiskey to me. Mentirosito.
It is a rye whiskey. You son of a bitch. It is a rye whiskey. It's a very.
Dylan, you son of a bitch. You ever seen that?
What?
We're gonna have the Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
We'll look it up.
We'll look it up.
We're gonna go ahead.
Anyway.
We're gonna go ahead and pause here. We'll probably pick up, or we won't. Whatever. So, Brittany, I have pretty much run my mouth for the better part of I don't even know how long, because we probably drank a lot more than we normally do. So I don't know how good of an idea these are going to be for the future, or maybe they're a great idea, especially if he brings out special beer every time. Thanks a lot, Dave.
You're welcome.
We also want to note that we're currently drinking something that Joe has made of his own recipe. That is peach preserves, yeast packets,
It's basically fermented peach preserves.
fermented
with
peach
water.
preserves
That's all it is.
with
And
water.
this is it's kind of almost I don't know. It's very interesting because
It's actually pretty good.
I'm having seconds right now because it's like a cider. It's like a peach cider.
I thought it's 'cause you were here.
That's what it tastes like.
If this was bottled and it came out of a bottle and I poured it in a glass and drank it, I would be like,
yeah,
this
if it
is a
wasn't in this
professionally
used
made-
Coke bottle,
Oh my God.
then it might be
Which-
better.
yeah, it's
It
pretty
is-
interesting.
It is legitimately.
It's actually very good.
Right now, we're gonna get a picture of it up there, but it looks like
Someone peed in a
it
bottle.
looks like urine, cloudy urine for
yeah,
so
like
maybe-
someone needs to go to the doctor.
like hey.
But
consult
hold
your-
on. I'm gonna take a glass. I'm gonna take a photo of the glass. So it
Yeah,
looks
when
all
you see it in the
fancy.
glass, it doesn't look.
And
as
now all of a
bad.
sudden it looks like I'm drinking champagne.
Yeah,
Bam! Look at that.
I think it's just the vessel you brought it in.
Well, this was the vessel that was able to hold enough psi, because that's it.
Also, too, thank you for recycling and reusing.
Well, yeah,
Appreciate it.
because this wasn't even my bottle.
You saved.
Just picked it up off
You
the side of
saved
the
our
road.
Kind of.
Just picked it up off the
I
side.
figured.
No, I mean, no. Honestly, I mean, yeah. Have another sip before I say it. Yeah.
I already drank mine, so I'm good.
No, I went to our recycle thing, and I live in a townhome, so we have shared recycle. So yeah, this is somebody else's Coca-Cola bottle.
That's
Are you
weird.
being serious or are we still joking?
We'll find out.
Depends on if you have herpes. After
I
the
have to go to
episode
the
or not.
hospital now. Thanks.
I don't know. I mean, like when you use the,
I need a tetanus shot.
I did use Star San on it after I used the cleaner, so you're good.
He's not joking.
I can't tell anymore. And I'm
I mean,
getting
Star
very
San's good
nervous.
stuff. No, this is my Coke bottle, but
What? I literally was believing you that whole time. Like, wow, Joe is like a legitimate hobo.
well, it came with a pizza, so. But I did not buy Coca-Cola, but it was like, hey, buy 2 pizzas, get a Coca-Cola. I'm like, cool. And that Coca-Cola went flat, and I poured it out long before.
But you reused the bottle. That's
I
the,
did reuse
the
it.
moral of the story.
And then I'm
Actually,
going to recycle it.
I'm a little upset by this story because you ended up wasting all that Coca-Cola. I love Coca-Cola.
yeah,
Well,
but Coke's not as big of a resource as plastic is.
I mean,
Speak for
I don't know.
yourself.
Have you ever been to Miami? Oh.
Hey!
It's okay. Another Quaalude. She love me in the morning.
Tony Montana.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. Me too.
But yeah, so what I did,
Say hello to my little friend.
I mentioned this. What was the episode where I really kind of talked about my? I guess it was a recent one, but
Oh, your military hooch?
the military hoot. So in
Korea.
back in WW Korea. no, I didn't do this in Korea. No, I when I was in Iraq in like 2011, give or take. It started off with bread yeast, and then I had somebody. He was going home on mid tour, and I said, "Hey, pick up Red Star champagne yeast," and he did, and he brought it because they're cheap. They're like, I don't know, 75 cents. I mean, something
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
And what I would do is I'd put it in a bottle similar to this, but they were we had water bottles there, and it was instead of a 2-liter bottle like this one, it was a 1.5-liter bottle.
Wait, so they just to clarify, they picked it up back in the States and brought it here.
Yeah.
Or here being Iraq.
Yep, back to the States, and they brought it all the way from the States to Florida.
I gotcha.
We are kind of a different country down here.
Kind of,
It
yes.
is.
Florida, man. But yeah, so long story short, I did a lot of internet research and all this, and I drank a lot of bad stuff until because we used to have juice boxes and sugar packets is what I would kind of do to boost alcohol, etc. The problem with just sugar packets and bread yeast is what I started, like Fleischmann's bread yeast, like you would just make regular bread. The problem with that is obviously it tasted very much like bread, which wasn't too bad. It was not bad, but the problem is you get low alcohol. And
It wasn't ravenous.
It was not ravenous, exactly. So it would die at, I don't know, 5% max.
That wasn't that was not the champagne yeast.
That was not the champagne.
That
Now
was the bread yeast.
Yeah, so the Red Star champagne yeast comes in like a yellow or a gold packet. That one, the problem with that one, it just has like a weird aftertaste to me. And it's just a different strain of yeast than I used a red wine yeast for this particular one.
How would you describe the aftertaste? I'm just curious. Is it like drier? Because I know a lot of champagnes are dry.
Well, the thing is, it could be drier, but if no matter what strain of yeast you're using, if you shove enough sugar in there, it's not going to be dry.
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, I'm at 18% alcohol and it's very sweet, well, that's because you just put too much and it died in its own waste. The yeast died in its own waste. But I mean, that's
Sounds delicious.
Oh my gosh!
I would like to consume.
If you've ever consumed alcohol, you've probably consumed some microorganism waste in your time.
Dead microorganisms.
Yeah, and you know what? It is, I believe, vitamin
yeast
B.
corpses. Every time you take a drink.
And I think that the dregs are like, I think it's vitamin B.
I think that's true because nutritional yeast is like a seasoning and it has B12 in it.
Is that the one that's
It
like a
tastes
cheese?
cheesy.
Cheese,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's a source of B12, so I think you're right.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yes,
Science.
Yeah.
Pseudo-science.
Science.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Boo!
We don't have the copyright for that. I know.
That's okay because I obviously was not
Bill
part of
Guy.
the original.
Bill Guy, the Science Nine.
Yes.
If we reverse it, maybe it's okay.
Tom Fry the Science Dude. All right. Different enough. So yeah, I would put a balloon as my one-way valve, and I'd poke holes in the balloon.
Did you come up with that yourself, or did you look at that online?
I was all on the
online?
interwebs.
It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. So what happens is obviously you don't want oxygen and outside microorganisms to come in and eat your sugar. They'll die long before some of the hardier yeasts will. But if they get in there early enough, they'll give you off flavor. I mean, you're probably not going to catch like the plague or anything, but you're going to end up with some off flavors.
Yeah.
So, but the good thing about, I will say about a hardier yeast like the champagne yeast that I used over there, not only do you get more alcohol content, and like I said, the yeast itself just kind of gave it a flavor. It is what it is, but you end up that being super sterile and super clean. You don't have to worry about that as much because as the alcohol rises, alcohol kind of kills everything.
Yep.
So it kills the weak ones come out and you end up with higher alcohol. So
The weakest link.
exactly. So this one this is a red wine. So I did not put a hydrometer in it. So this one's not finished because it could be drier, and it will be drier as I let it sit.
I don't know if it needs to be though. I mean, it's
good
actually
enough now.
it's actually pretty good.
If I knew what the alcohol was, then I could probably have just upped the sugar to get a higher alcohol and had a similar flavor with higher alcohol. So that's probably what I'll do for the next batch. But this was more of this was like a 1 gallon kind of test batch.
It was a good test batch. I mean,
yeah.
Well,
Totally.
I'm glad to hear that because I have 5 gallons of strawberry jelly.
Is
wine.
that going right now?
Oh my god, yeah, it's going right now.
That's what I'm waiting for because that's all your stories.
his son's at home doing the labor, making all the bottles.
and once again, we talked about it previously. Child
Poor
labor
Daz.
is not illegal if it's family.
Yeah.
I said that in one of the previous
They
episodes.
feed him.
I mean, he's homeschooled. This is a school project. Done. He's spell checking all of the labels as he puts them on the bottle now. But the main reason, of course, with this amazing, I mean, probably the best cider I've ever had in my life.
Oh
that I'm drinking
God,
right now,
not even a contest.
not even close.
I seriously though, it
It's
actually is
fine,
really
but
good. It's actually really good.
When I was doing some brewing and things in the past, I had some good they're pretty much like coffee filters, just different mesh. And I ran it through there because there were literal
Microns.
No, not even that. The preserves had peach pieces.
Yeah.
There were actual bite-sized peach pieces in
I feel
there.
like most preserves
So-
have some.
yeah,
of the fruit
exactly.
left.
So I had to like
strain it.
I didn't want that. I ate some of them.
I
as
was about to
filtering
say
out.
it. I almost wish that was there still.
No, I feel like an actual peach slice would be.
Yeah, but
great.
then
Or
it's not going to
keep
be
those peach pieces like in the fridge, and then when you make it,
put in a
them
jar.
in the
Yeah,
drink.
like a cocktail.
noise.
Like a
But no, the problem.
sangria.
The problem.
Yeah,
with that
no,
is
no, it's
those
filtered.
peaches-
It's clear.
Those peaches are not.
Good.
They're not good. They're dry. They're dry
Yeah,
because all the sugar's gone from them.
that's
It's
true.
in the
But
drink.
but if I put fresh peaches,
Yeah, that would be good.
then that would be good. But I ended up with what I ended up doing though in the past while I was deployed, I would take, say I made 2 or 3 bottles of it, and I'd pour it because I didn't have a filter at the time. I'd pour it till you started seeing like the schmutz. That's a scientific term right there, schmutz. And that schmutz, as it started to go from one bottle to the other, I would stop pouring, so I'd be left with, I don't know, maybe a third of the bottle or something like that. And what I would do is the first thing I would end up drinking is just all of the schmutz, and it's like pasty and thick.
I'm gonna be honest. You're ruining alcohol.
No,
for me
it's
right now.
it's very gross and dirty. I'm not even kidding. But it did have alcohol.
Ruining alcohol.
It did have alcohol. But
Can you stop talking? That'd be great, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm never drinking again. I'm gonna be a nun. Do nuns
Well,
drink?
Don't take it that
Do
far.
they drink? I don't know.
I think they can drink. They're
Oh.
not supposed to have sex.
Depends on what they're drinking. They can't do that.
Yeah.
In addition to this, this is not going to be. This is not going to be a smooth transition. So stand up.
I did
So
have.
sad.
I did have some very sexual, inappropriate jokes in my stand-up, so it is good.
If you guys by now you should have listened to the Bug Nutty episode, and in that episode,
If you haven't, then you're not a real fan.
more than likely you've not listened to this. But I did the first couple minutes in the episode, probably the first 10 minutes. I talked about because literally the night before I recorded that episode, I saw Brittany here. She tried her hand at the old stand up, and I thought it was pretty good. I honestly, I don't know how she felt while she was doing it, but I know how I felt for her while she was doing it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Were you in front of an audience, or was it by yourself?
It
Oh,
was a
really?
great crowd, actually, which I was worried about because I was worried there weren't going to be people
What was
there.
the-
'Cause I feel like that's more awkward to do comedy in front of not a lot of
Nobody.
people. It's
Like
great when you have an
6
audience.
people.
Yeah.
What was the venue?
It was at open mics, but it was
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
full.
yeah.
There were a lot of people there.
The
Apparently,
Florida
it's
music?
Florida Discount Music. Well, I don't think they're called that anymore. I think
But I
it's
mean,
just
that's
open
that's
mics
where,
now.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a decent amount of people.
That's right. They do
though.
one day a week. They do comedy open
So
mic.
this
right?
was for an actual competition. So it was supposed
Oh,
to be for
nice.
amateur comedians to come, but then the voting system was people cheering for you. So it's really how
Yeah.
many friends can you get to come to this? And I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
3.4 friends, so I didn't win. But that's not a reflection of my comedy
How-
because
how
I
did
felt
you-
like it went pretty well.
Yeah, how did you
I
do?
thought-
Like,
I
what was
thought
the
it was
reaction
really
of the
good.
crowd while you were doing the performance?
Pretty good. So I mean, I grew up acting and I've done that for a long time. So being on stage is not scary to me.
Cool.
Like that, talking in front of people is very easy to me. I don't have a fear of that. I think it was more that I feel like I have a very specific brand of humor. It's a little dark. And I just was I was writing it and I'm like, I think this is funny, but what if other people don't think this is funny? But luckily they did. They thought some things that I was like, oh, that wasn't even that funny. They were laughing at it.
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
good.
That's good.
I think just from what I remember when I was watching it, it did have the dark, but it didn't get dark. It was
The right amount of dark.
Like one of the things she mentioned, and is some of the podcasts that she enjoys are kind of the wine and murder. Is there a name for it other than wine and murder, or is that
Wine
the name?
and crime is the specific one.
Wine and crime. So wine and
Shout
crime
out Wine
because
and
it
Crime.
because it vaguely rhymes.
and
It is a-
it also rhymes with rhyme. It rhymes with wine and crime rhyme.
It is
Damn.
a really great podcast because they pair a wine with a type of subscribe, and they do a little like wine history about that type of wine,
This
and then they
wine-
do some cases.
This wine goes great with this crime.
No, like if you looked at like the label and something like it, like it's like
I just like
I feel like I'm not
this
explaining it.
episode's
tastes like murder.
This episode's on Jeffrey Dahmer. If you're
No,
eating
it's
human
more like-
beings,
It's kind of
It's
like
a very
what,
young wine.
it's kind of like what we did today, where we picked it based on the label. They'll pick something that, like, maybe the label, I don't know, you've seen, like, there's, like, a wine that's called The Butcher, and it's
Yeah.
got, like, a huge,
Nice.
knife on it. Like, that would
yeah,
be a good
yeah,
one
yeah.
for knife murder.
so it's more about the theme of the wine.
Yeah, but then
not the
one of the
flavor.
hosts also is very knowledgeable about wine, so she goes into that type of wine that they're drinking that
Wait,
day.
wait,
and they
so
drink it.
Now,
Is
is
this
it
a
just murder,
podcast?
or
It's
is
a podcast.
it
What's
just
the- what-
murder, or is
it's-
it just
it's
crime
crime.
in general?
It's
It's
crime.
called Wine and Crime. The
Wine and
podcast
Crime, yeah.
is. Oh, so this is one you follow.
Yes, I
Oh,
obsessed
interesting.
with it.
Did not know.
Well, yeah, it's a great podcast, by the way.
Two things you love.
Yes.
Is there a beer in crime?
Probably.
You just gotta look for
Well,
it.
I was going with it. I mean, because if it was just about
If
murder,
there's not,
No,
that's our
it's
next, that's our
crimes
next
in
project,
general.
Joe.
well, I was saying like if there's a wine and murder, well then maybe there would be like a beer and I don't know domestic
Robbery.
violence. I don't know.
That would be
That
rough.
seems-
This is a
sounds
true
terrible.
crime comedy.
That's not gonna
podcast.
turn people off
Yeah.
of beer.
but you know the thing about
Beer and beating your wife.
Yeah.
well, like wine is supposed to be kind of a little haughtier, so like maybe a whodunit type of murder.
So are you saying murder is like a haughtier crime than domestic
No, there.
violence?
You know,
A-
honestly,
absolutely.
honestly, I feel like I
So,
almost
like
feel
malt
like
liquor and incest would be like another another level.
I
So
know.
let's actually, it's good because this did let me know that my humor is not as bad or as dark as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Because people like that shit.
No, think
like,
about it.
they will be dark.
Think about it. No, it actually makes sense, right? Okay, so murder versus domestic violence. I mean, if you think of it logically, murder's worse. You're murdering someone; they're dead. But kind of, if you feel, if you get to the emotional side of it, sometimes murder's like, I don't know, maybe it's
like a
maybe
crime
it's
of passion.
maybe it's appropriate that this person was killed. Domestic violence almost always seems
If
terrible.
it is the victim killing their abuser, I think that should be 100% allowed.
That's still
and you
murder,
cannot-
and then you feel better about it. Yeah. So,
What?
so wine and crime does actually feel better than beer and domestic
I
violence.
think
It doesn't
anything
rhyme
is
at
better
all.
than domestic violence. Like,
Domestic
that's not
violence.
funny.
There's no way you could really
Yeah, there's no
spin
joke
that,
in that.
unless it's like I don't know. How you
No,
could,
it's very hard. to
how
spin
can you
that.
spin domestic
not-
violence where it sounds okay?
I'm not touching that one.
Me either.
I'm trying to think
Joe,
of a
it's
rhyme.
up to you, buddy.
Orders and mortars? No, I don't know.
No, it
So
is-
if you send IEDs or if you send indirect fire, then it's porters and mortars. That would
funny
be the-
funny
even though they don't consume
anecdote.
It's a
alcohol.
military drama.
Funny
Orders and
anecdote,
mortars.
an IUD is something that explodes. An IUD is something that is a form of birth control. My boyfriend does not know the difference between the two and thinks I have an IED inside of my body.
I mean,
Oh my
I think
God.
I think
You are very dangerous.
Yeah.
I think an IED may also be a form of birth control.
Probably, but I'm not about to blow up.
It's
so
really
okay.
effective, but pretty extreme.
It is extreme, very extreme.
So, wine and crime.
It's a great podcast, and
Great
yes, it's
podcast.
different crimes, not just murder.
Now, what venue was your stand-up act?
It was at open mics.
It was at open mic. So
Yeah.
is it on YouTube?
I put it on YouTube
You
because
publish
some
it.
people that couldn't come, like,
You wanted
so
to see
I
it.
have some friends that are honestly from the Wine and Crime podcast. Like, they're people that don't live here, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I talk to a lot. So like online friends, quote unquote, but not in like a weird way.
No.
But they were. I was like,
I-
they'll appreciate this.
Brittany, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd
Have
too.
you
I
met
have
in person?
I have weirdo online friends too.
Yeah.
Have you met
What's-
these people in person?
No.
What's the name of your YouTube channel that
Oh,
if you
I
wanted
don't-
to see
I don't
your stand-up
know.
act?
We could post it maybe his
Uh,
thing.
uh,
You don't know what your
We'll
YouTube
figure it out.
channel's called?
No, I don't post videos on it.
I mean,
This
you
is-
post-
I just uploaded
It's
this
called
for people
Don't
to
Judge
see.
Me, Dave. Get off my back.
I literally just uploaded this video for people to see. Like, I don't post things.
I'm
on
trying to
YouTube.
promote your
I
act.
had
Brittany.
no idea how to do anything like that. When I decided to start this podcast, it was a crash course in audio editing, in some video editing. Even though my video editing was literally putting a picture along with audio, still that, and then also putting stuff on YouTube and
and stand-up comedy.
stand-up comedy.
No,
No.
maybe. No.
I mean, I feel so. Me personally, and I kind of put it out there, in our little group chat that we've got. I always thought that stand-up comedy would be kind of cool. I thought it would be something I'd like to do. But the problem is, I'm usually pretty good when I'm when I'm there. But if you're like, hey, write me something that's funny, I'm like, ugh.
Well,
you might. I don't even want to write my name at the top. It was like when I applied for the mortgage, I'm like, ugh, can you just give me the house and pretend I signed my name 78 times?
I get that. I mean, it's two different things. I mean, and it doesn't
you
have to
be able to be the kind of person that just has a rough outline and you just riff off of that.
For sure.
Me,
Dude,
it helped to sit and I really edited and re-edited. That's why it was like, I'll write stand up for you, because I actually enjoyed that part of the process. I enjoyed the stand up too, but I did like kind of going back and picking out pieces and putting new pieces in when I would think of them.
I would love for you to write a stand up comedy act and for Joe to go on open mics and do the act. That would be fantastic. I would
naked.
I'll take time out of my busy schedule and go and visit and watch that show. That would be
Did they give
awesome.
you free drinks while you were there?
No.
And for that,
paid for my
you know what?
but they give
And
you
for
high
that
fives.
reason,
They give you
I'm
high
out.
fives.
And-
I'll buy you your drinks
Oh,
that night.
you know what? I'm back in.
I'll buy you your drinks that night.
Top
I
shelf.
was the 8th person to go, and I had been there for
is-
like an hour or two.
Really?
And I had got. I
8?
told myself, do not drink more than 2 glasses of wine before you get up there.
Is it full
because-
liquor?
Yeah. No.
How many
Beer and wine.
how many glasses did you have?
I had 2, but then it was like I still haven't gone. I really want to have a third, but third glass of wine, Brittany, starts to
It changes you.
Yeah, it starts to get a little.
So you held off.
So I was like, I gotta hold off. I gotta make sure that I'm fully aware for this. So
But you don't want to lose that second glass.
She was a glass away from Def Comedy Jam.
it's
So
a
how
switch.
long are the acts at open mics?
It was you had 5 to 7 minutes. So around 6
Oh,
minutes,
so it's
they
pretty
would
short.
kind of let you know.
Yeah.
It seems short, but when you start writing,
It feels like eternity.
it's long. Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't.
I've-
I mean, to
I've-
write an hour special, that's a lot.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
people. Obviously, I'm not in on stand-up comedy. I'm not any sort of expert, but I don't know how many. Once you get an hour-long special, like an HBO special, like those big, I don't know how much of that you're writing solely on your own. I feel like you've got a team at that point.
I don't know. I
No,
think
there's
it
a
depends
lot
on
of
the
people
comic.
that
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
No, I don't know if I agree.
Because
with that.
think about
No,
all the
I don't
people
know.
that do it that don't have Netflix specials. They're writing their
Yeah,
own
they're
stuff.
writing,
There's
exactly,
comedians
yeah.
that make money just being comedians.
I mean, no, it kind of makes sense though. You're at open mics. It's like these are local people. They're not professional.
Right.
They're doing their own thing. I've been to open mics lots of times, but never for the comedy stuff.
There was some really,
And
really funny people.
it's
there.
really not very different though. Like I've gone on blues night and
Right.
stuff like that, and it's people going up there and just kind of riffing, and doing their
Yeah.
thing.
I think with stand up that you can do that. And
But
you can be
only to a
funny.
degree, though.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah. I
you have
think-
to have something
I
behind
think you
it.
have to have some kind of structure to it. It has to have some kind of beginning, middle, end, and some way that you segue into the next topic, or else it's just kind of things that you're saying.
What
if that
night?
makes
What
sense.
night? What day of the week is comedy night?
This was a Wednesday night.
It's Wednesday nights.
But I don't know if they do it every Wednesday.
If you're
night or
local,
not.
open mics on US 1.
But they do a lot of comedy
Wednesday
stuff
nights.
there.
At the end
Yeah.
of Babcock.
Yeah, they do it once a night. They do. I mean, I've had a lot of fun going to blues night and jazz night.
On Mondays, they do
They're-
a complete live
it's a great
night where
place.
you
It's
can
awesome.
do music, poetry,
And it's-
whatever you
it's
want.
a
On
small-
Mondays, you said?
Yeah, on
It's a
Mondays.
Oh,
small.
cool.
It's a small spot too. I mean,
It is. It's very
it's-
small. But they have craft beer.
It's
They've
been
got
there forever.
They've got all kinds of cold brew coffee and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's a very fun place to go.
I've probably only been there once in my adult life. The last time I was
Really?
there, yeah. But it was still the Florida Atlantic music, whatever.
Florida discount music.
Yeah. So a friend of mine, he's a drummer, and he was buying sticks, and I was giving him a ride. They were doing a practice, and I was just like, "Hey, yeah, I'll ride with you. I'll go with you." I was kind of bored, whatever. I was in town. Desmond wasn't around yet. Digna was still deployed. That kind of stuff. I was getting ready to deploy. So kind of in that time frame, I had nothing to do, and I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll go with you to practice, and then we'll hang out afterwards." And we go there, and he was getting drumsticks and talking to people, and it just happened to be I don't remember, they were swapping out a keg or something like that. So they had the magic hat.
Yeah. Number 9.
Number 9, yeah. And they're like, and they poured like while they were trying to get the foam out.
That was a popular beer for a long time.
Yeah, it was. And
that was one of the first like crafty beers. I feel like.
Yeah,
so
everywhere.
But they were like most of it was foam, and of course, eventually foam will settle. I don't care how bad at pouring beer you are.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's gonna settle down. And like, hey, you want some of these? I was like, yes. And then I drank like 2 or 3 of them very quickly because I got my sticks. I was like, cool. Now, and you get to drive the rest of the way. I just had 3 of these things. I know you were just buying drumsticks, but thanks for the 3 free beers.
It is a
3
fun
beers
place,
while
though.
one person buys drumsticks.
Dude, I can drink really quick.
They were free.
You should go back. I mean, baby, come back. You know, Florida Discount Music. They started. I remember when I was in high school. So I'm pushing 40. So this is back
really hard.
Over 20 years ago. I was planning on buying a drum kit, and Florida Discount Music was, they're one of the big places in town.
Is that the drum kit back there?
No, that's your drum kit. That's a whole other story altogether. But they were big into selling music equipment, guitars, drums,
right.
all kinds of stuff. And then several years back, they kind of started this format where they were like, we're going to do music, we're going to do it on different nights, we're going to have people come in. They had a cafe, like light kind of food and stuff like that. And it was really nice. And you would go, like, me and Alexis, we've gone several times. Blues night, jazz night, funk night, they have all different nights. And you go and you see kind of the same people come in, guy with a harmonica, jazz flute, like all this kind of stuff. And
Burgundy
Was it
style.
Ron Burgundy?
no, I'm not kidding. There's this guy, this flute guy. He's
Aqualung.
awesome. Aqualung. He's super good.
Well, I think that was one thing I noticed. Like,
It's
I
a
was
neat
expecting
place.
like
Very
people
cool.
to just accidentally be there and be like, "Oh, there's people on stage doing comedy, not really paying attention." So
Yeah.
like, I would have to like really get them into it. But people were there to see the show. Like, they were
Yeah.
into it. They were there because they wanted to see comedy, which is
It's
nice.
it's not as like light as it seems. I mean, people are coming because they want to be entertained.
Right,
So
because
it's a
there
real
are
audience. It's a
other-
legitimate audience.
there are
yeah.
other open mic bars where it's literally like you're just talking and no one's paying attention to you,
Yeah.
and that's hard.
That and no, you're right. And this venue, open mics, is like this is the only purpose of this place.
Right.
No one's coming here to get a drink. Everyone's coming here to be entertained.
Right.
Well, then
Whatever
a really
theme
good
is
name
that
for
night,
it.
whatever the theme is that night, you better be able to do it.
Right, which I
You
think
know.
helped for like the first time because like
Yeah,
people were like paying
it's a good
attention and
thing.
wanted to like interact.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure that video ends up linked into the old Face book.
It is
Watching
also-
or YouTube.
Not safe for work. Heads up.
NSFW.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all it was
Real nice, Brittany. Real
all
nice.
it was a frame for frame Chris Rock special. I mean, really. I mean, it was.
I just stole all his
I was like,
material.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Brittany and Chris Rock are pretty much identical.
Yeah.
It was really
We're
weird when
almost
she
the same
said
person.
white people be like. I was a little confused, but I went with it.
I did not say that at all.
All right, guys, we're gonna end this thing, and I've probably got 7 hours or more worth of editing here.
Yeah,
There's a lot of unusable here.
it's really,
A lot
it's
of
really,
tangents.
it's really a question of how much you're gonna trim off.
Well, the bad thing was I had something in my mind. I mean, this ended up being very different than that. I mean, I kind of
High fives.
I kind of
High
forced.
fives.
Yeah, I kind of.
That's good.
Yes. You hear that was a real high five.
Real.
Not a sound
It
effect.
wasn't great. Yeah, but
It was alright.
so we veered off course quite a bit. I think maybe the alcohol, the ABV kind of went off. Dave mentioned in one, it was like, hey, we normally get a taster. Maybe kind of hitherfore too, tasters are probably the best way to go about it because they kind of keep us on track. When you start giving us full pours, it's like...
That's why we did two. It was basically 2 beers between the 3 of us.
Yeah. That's still more than a taster.
No,
It was more than a taster.
we did 2 beers a couple
It was
of
like
times.
it was basically a can has 12 ounces. We're basically drinking 8 ounces
Yeah.
of each beer.
There were 6 total beers.
Yeah,
That's like 3. And
No,
then,
no, no,
and
no,
then
no.
then you're pouring whiskey. and
Your
you're-
beer, no, yours was whiskey was liquor. So we had 4, 5. Let's see, 5 actual beers plus your weird ass liquor, which was very good, by the way.
How
Plus,
dare you? This is a light,
I
refreshing
brought
cider.
I brought that copper pony in here. I mean,
And that's only what we drink on air.
That's only what we drink on air. That's right.
With that, we're not. We're gonna it's gonna be very unceremoniously done here. But if it wasn't for beer, you wouldn't be here.
This has been a Getting to Know Brews presentation.